All right. As long as you can hear, then that's all that matters. Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to episode number 2 of
3.
Oh, yeah. We're going to split the first one. We
Yes.
split the first one. It was too long. Episode 3, Vocal Minority 2.0, 2022 edition.
Yeah. We've returned somehow, some way, and we're going to keep this boat riding forward. Train rolls on, etc. The first episode back, gentlemen, we did, I know we were trying to do 2 hours and we ended up doing 5 hours. So we're going to split that into a 2-part episode.
Yeah, we had to do that 5 hours, dude. And I don't think any of us felt like stopping at the 5. I mean, we could have kept going. It was just getting late.
We could have, for sure. It was getting late and I was starving, but it was interesting. I mean, we hadn't done this show in 16 years. For those of you that missed the first 2 episodes, you should definitely go listen to them. But, we did this radio talk show on regular old radio for years, and we're back. And our first show back was recapping everything that happened since the last show 16 years ago. And holy flirting schnitt, did we cover some topics.
Turns out 16 years is a long ass time.
Is it for everyone? I mean, it is, I guess, but so much happened to all of us.
16 years is a lot of time, dude. How many days is 16 years, broski? On the fly.
The fly. Well, so 10 years would be 3,650.
That's better than I could have done. Yeah.
All right.
So cut another half of that, and so it's like 5,000
fucking time,
like 5,500 days.
Yeah, it's been about 5,500 days. So yeah, it's been a while. We've had a lot of shit go on, and like Steve said, we covered a great deal of it. We stuffed as much as we could into the first program. We'll split it up into 2 episodes, and today we're just gonna kind of pick up where we left off.
Yes, and a lot has happened. This is the Vocal Minority with Nick and Steve. I'm Steve. That's Nick over there. That's Brewski, our sidekick producer extraordinaire. We span the country. California here. We got Seattle for Nick. We got Boston for Brewski. And the whole idea is this show gives everyone a platform to get vocal. And we're going to talk about our lives. We're going to talk about the news, pop culture, entertainment, all that kind of stuff. And we encourage the audience to get involved. We'll have guests on. We'll figure out some way for people to call us, I think. We'll have comments. We'll have emails. You know, the whole kit and caboodle, right?
Yeah, all that 2022 is capable of today with these newfangled toys. You'll have ways to contact us. And, you'll get on the air live with us. And hopefully we'll develop a little friendship.
Yes, indeed. The last 2 episodes, I will tell you, were highly educational, for sure. But if you want to get to know anything about the 3 of us, you've got to go back and listen to those things, because our whole concept here is we're not pulling punches. We're just going to be raw, real people. We're going to tell you the truth. And maybe sometimes the lands well, other times not.
Yeah, the peril of our own lives. We will be honest and true. It's
reality radio or reality podcasting or something. Dude, I was talking to my mom this morning and telling her that, I'm gonna confess to things that you may not know about me. My kids may not know. Like there's gonna be a lot of people that are gonna learn a lot of things. And she was like, said something like, "Oh, Steven, like, what are you talking about?" And I said, "Well, admitting to marijuana use and stuff, that's a big deal." And there was just this pause, and my mom is like, "You smoke marijuana?"
Oh, really? She had no idea.
That's what I said. I'm like, you had no idea after all of these years, your son, the long-haired rock and roll guitar playing shock jock, Seattle, like no idea, skiing, all these, no, she had no idea.
And was she disappointed in you right off the bat?
Well, she said, something like, I guess I never knew what you and your sisters were doing. And I was like, by the way, Debbie smokes too. Okay. Just so we're all on the same page here. Like I threw my other sister under the bus immediately.
Please.
There was no judgment. She actually was like, well, maybe before today's show, you should smoke a little so you'll be relaxed. You'll have more fun.
Dude, like, you know what? That only comes from a smoker. Is your mom smoking?
No, God, no. I don't know where that came from.
Edibles, maybe?
No.
Yeah. Harness. Come on.
My mom is not some church lady, but I mean, I've seen her drunk maybe once in my life. And no, I don't think she's ever smoked pot, period.
Well, that's what your kids would say. I've seen my dad drunk maybe once in my life, but
because I'm good at hiding
a lot
all
of things
it.
behind the scenes, right?
Exactly. But that's the point of this show is we're going to put it all out there. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. So
I have a friend in Seattle, actually, whose stepfather had just discovered edibles a couple of years ago.
Nice.
And and he needed it. He has like this chronic pain and that sort of thing. And his stepfather does nothing but eat edibles and sit and watch ridiculousness on MTV all day long.
My gosh, dude, shoot me in the head.
Right? Well, that and also he owns a Chevy HHR, and he goes online and he looks to see what other people are talking about in HHR forums, which who even knew that was the thing, but it's out there.
Some people give being a stoner a bad name, or the cliche sort of thing. I always try to explain to people that, not your typical stoner. First of all, I'm not baking 24/7 by any means anymore, but also I'm a highly motivated individual. I mean, look at this beautiful podcast we have going on here. Lazy people can't just set up a web camera in their freaking, house. So we built an entire career. There was, Nick and I work at a radio station locally here. And for years we had a woman there, Stace, that was very anti-stoner. And I could just never bring myself to tell her that, do you understand this entire radio station is run by stoners? Everyone but you, me, Nick, the morning guy, the sales team, like everyone. But you're stoners eating Cheetos all day.
It's sort of built off stoners. I mean, everything that goes into the radio station is.
Yes, we covered this last episode that, in the world of radio, it's not super uncommon to have people leaving bags of pot in the studio.
I still think that guy was a stoner too, but just didn't want to admit it.
The one that left the bag in the studio?
No, the one who called it out in the meeting.
Oh yeah, probably was.
Yeah, I think
that was our point, that it was a commonplace and joking and all that stuff. And I wanted my bag back, but never got it back. So
do you feel like you've slowed down in the last 2 years?
Well, yeah. During the divorce and post-divorce immediately, probably not at all. No, but since then, yeah, for sure. It's now something that is, for the most part, evenings, like the old have a glass of wine and relax. Well, I'll take a few hits. Or if I'm, I love doing manual labor, being just a little stoned. Like if I'm mowing the lawn or painting the house or something, or just cleaning, like that's a nice time to take a little. So
I think that's my worst time. That's my,
really?
I really don't want to be doing manual labor ever, but if I have to do it, I definitely don't want to be stoned.
I'm right with you, Nick.
It's that old, I think it was a Jon Stewart bit, or maybe it was in Half Baked. I don't know. But like, if you ever watch Star Wars on weed, like to me, things are usually just a little better. So if I have to do manual labor, the key is taking that first step. If you just get stoned and sit there, you're not going to do anything. But for me, once I start the gears turning, once I actually start doing something, then I get very methodical about it if I'm a little bit baked. So that's my preferred method.
Well, you're a good stoner, dude.
However, I don't do it on the air because I'm not as talkative when I'm stoned, and I tend to drift. So it'll happen afterwards, but it's not happening now. So thanks, Mom, really for the advice.
Yeah, thanks, Mom. You decided not to smoke today?
No, I never have. For all the years we've done this talk show, I never have. I mean, there was a novelty show or two where we were doing drinking games or something, and maybe we smoked. Yeah. But no, I find it hard to be on. I find it hard to focus. When I'm jocking music records on radio, like I've gotten used to it over the years. Sometimes I'll do that. Yeah. But no, I find it hard to keep focused and all that. So for
the original show, I know for a fact I did less shows sober than I did stoned. Most of my shows were done stoned.
Well, and we used to go to that back deck at the Buzz Studios, but you guys would go out there after the show usually. I mean, Nick might go out before the show started, but everybody would go out on the deck after the show. I remember that. Yeah,
absolutely. No, I mean, when we first started this out of my house, before we got to the Buzz Studios and all that stuff, it was a bit of a frat house. And I mean, I didn't care. And there's a lot of participating and all that going on beforehand. It's completely up to you. Personal preference. I'm just not comfortable doing it. So it's not fun. I want to do things stoned that are fun, not that are uncomfortable, because that can go bad.
I hear you 100%. It's my haircut story a million times over. I told Steve a long time ago that I got really high one time. I was going to go get a haircut. I got high and drove over to the place to get a haircut and sat down in this lady's chair. And she was super chatty with me, which I don't like in a hairstylist. I don't want to talk a whole bunch. But she like strapped me in with that cape real tight around my neck. And I felt very constrained in the chair that I couldn't move around and get up. And I pretty much had a full-on panic attack while I was sitting there getting my haircut, and thought several times about jumping up and running out of Master Clips or wherever I was.
Yeah. That's the experience I'm avoiding.
Well, you guys saying that, I watched a video last night. It was an old show that used to be on Vice, but I would have people drop acid and then go and do something. And this particular one, it was, he went to a monster truck show while on acid.
Bad idea.
Yeah, that can go bad.
And after the show, he had to interview one of the drivers too while on acid.
Oh,
well, I don't like comparing acid to pot, by the way. That's another thing my mother said. Like, it's a drug. I'm like, no, drugs are something that are produced. Marijuana is a naturally occurring substance.
It's not synthetic, Ma.
Right.
I promise.
Another one of those episodes, they had a guy who dropped acid and went to the Westminster Dog Show. Yeah. And had to interview dog people.
Yeah. These are made for our entertainment and not the person doing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's cool about it is interspersed with the whole thing was the person after the fact sober saying, this is what I was experiencing at that time. And the monster truck guy was really uncomfortable the entire time. You just see it on his face. He was just freaking out.
I do remember a local news channel doing a test when marijuana became legal in so many states of like, does it affect your driving or doesn't it? And they had all of these people do test course driving, and they start off taking like maybe one bong hit, and they do a lap, then two bong, and they, and it obviously got progressively worse at some point. But I just remember thinking like, I could nail that challenge, man. I mean, I delivered pizza stone for years. I'm an expert, cautious, stony driver. I drive better stone than sober, and that's not a message I'm trying to send to the masses, but I'm just talking about me and like traffic or something. I could give a crap if I'm stuck in traffic if I'm a little stoned. Like, it's fine, man. Turn the music up.
Yeah, you're in a chill mood.
Do you guys remember the show that we did, the drunk driving show that we did at the Buzz?
Yeah, the breathalyzer?
With the breathalyzer and the DUI attorney. And
we were trying to dispel myths. Are there ways to beat a breathalyzer? So we got a person that came into the radio show with a breathalyzer. We were all drinking. Well, it wasn't your breathalyzer, right? Didn't we have a cop come in or something?
No,
we had an attorney.
And a DUI attorney.
Yeah.
And I was the one
drinking.
I was drinking, yeah, but that was the night that we also had the super fan, and he got drunk and passed out in the bathroom, and then Nick had to give him a ride home.
Yes, yeah, these are the fun things you're going to experience with Nick and Steve and a couple of microphones.
Right. I will say, dude, that I don't. I don't prefer, I guess I would prefer not to be stoned when I'm driving, but ecstasy is a whole different story, dude. Driving on ecstasy is like driving a freaking spaceship, dude. And I had so much fun doing it. I won't ever do ecstasy again, but if I were, I'd go for a drive, dude. That'd be listening to music and driving would be the first thing I'd want to do.
These are some good PSAs, Do what we don't.
Minority.
Yeah.
Right. Don't do what we say, kids.
That's a guy we could talk to about weed. He's doing quite well for himself in the marijuana industry up in Washington.
Go easy.
Brewski's referring to a former radio DJ friend of ours. Well, how is he doing well?
He's involved.
What's he doing in pot?
I'd have to look it up on Instagram again, but he's got a whole big thing. I'll pull it up.
I don't need the whole story, but he's entrepreneuring or what?
Yes, big time.
Hey, kudos. Radio sucks, so you may need a backup gig there, Ricker. Was that his name?
No. Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Big baller.
Yeah.
Michael Ricker.
There you go.
Oh, is Ricker his real last name?
Yes, and here's the funny thing. I actually met his mother one time at a KISW event he was doing at what was that? Where at the Hooters in Lake Union.
Oh yeah,
it was a street team event, and he was hosting, and his mother was there, and it was so funny because he looks exactly like her, but she was like this really nice, sweet lady from Florida, and she says, "Oh, do you work with Michael?" And I was like, "Who's Michael?" And she's like, Michael, and she starts pointing to him, and I'm like, oh, Ricker, yeah, oh yeah, I work with him and that sort of thing. And he comes over. He comes over.
Can I just tell you how many Hooters I have done radio events from? I have never gone to eat at a Hooters in my life, but I have been at a Hooters 100 freaking times.
You haven't? Yes. You haven't eaten at a Hooters?
No. Why would I? That's weird.
Listen, dude.
Sorry. Unless Hooters wants to sponsor the show, then yes, I'll eat there every week. So
I know it's going to sound a little disingenuous, but the wings at Hooters are freaking fantastic.
Yeah,
dude.
yeah. And Playboy has great articles. I get it.
Hey, dude, you know what? I bet most of the time I've been to Hooters, I've been with my wife.
Yeah. And
because the wings are so great, dude.
Really, they have just the best wings on planet Earth. Nobody else can come close to Hooters wings.
I love them. I think they're fantastic. They're different than anywhere else. They're different than anyone else's wings. I will say that.
I'm also not a wing fan, so that might be part of it too.
Yeah,
too messy. All right, should we? We've got a guest calling in like 45 minutes here, in theory.
Okay. Yeah, let's get to.
And we got a lot of ground to cover, people. Ooh. We got a lot of ground to cover. So our entire first 2 episodes were 5 hours of us talking about the last 16 years of our lives. And that was about almost 6 weeks ago, because life just completely blew up, at least for me, in the last 6 weeks here. It sort of derailed things. I now have another 16 years worth of things to update everyone on, I feel like. But
yeah, there's been a lot going on, dude. It's crazy to think that it's only been 6 weeks since we've done our last show.
Yeah, 16 years off, and now we've had 6 weeks off. And hey, does anyone notice I'm in an entirely different home studio? That's kind of weird, right?
Your studio does look a lot different, dude.
Funny how that works.
And first of all, can we all just marvel? I mean, come on. Look at my background here. Isn't that fun? I feel like I'm in Willy Wonka's chocolate factory or something.
I dig the bike. Is that a running bike, Steve?
That's a dirt bike lamp. I bought it at IKEA. It took quite a while to put together with a little Allen wrench, but that is a classic dirt bike that when I was married and I had like weekends and extra money, I was like, that's a 93 KX250. When we were in high school, that was like the bike. And so I bought it to renovate it and learn how to repair motors and all the high-end stuff that I don't normally do. And now it's a lamp. So
the project bike, dude.
Tell you how that went.
And you're in stiff competition with Michael Jackson, dude. I feel like that if you had children up to your studio, that they would be amazed and may want to lay around and just view your items.
I think so. My son describes me as a mature dad with a touch of immature dude. And I think that my home is reflecting that currently. I bought a stand-up Pac-Man arcade game for the house because
nice.
It seems like that would be a good thing to do. So I did it.
Yeah, you did. And it was a responsible decision. It looks nice. And the funniest thing in the world was, and I tell Steve, I said, he shows it to me before he buys it. And I said, is that full size? And he was like, yeah. And then when you got it home and took a picture, you're just a little bit taller than that bad boy.
I'm 6'2", so it's not full size for me. But
but for your son, it's definitely a full size machine. I think it looks killer. Has your son played it?
Oh yeah, he played it constantly. He
really?
freaked. Oh yeah, he freaked out when he came home and saw it. It was
I'm sure.
He and I think the same. So a almost 13-year-old boy and me, a 46-year-old man, we're both like, that's awesome. Got a Pac-Man machine in the living room.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's like silver spoons.
Exactly. Thank you, Brewski.
Little Edward Stratton.
That's what Arnis was going for.
It was. I told Nick, like, remember silver spoons? That's what I'm going for here. I don't know how many people know the reference anymore, but yeah, classic 80s sitcom. I'm living my childhood dreams. So.
Joel Higgins, Aaron Gray.
Yeah, he was a single dad, and he was like a toy inventor, right? So his house was full of arcade games.
He was just really rich.
No, I thought he was a toy inventor.
I thought he was some sort of like entrepreneur or real estate or something. No. He was just
now we got to look this up. Not right now, please, but we'll look this up.
Because John Houseman, the guy from the investment commercials in the 80s with the British accent, he was the wealthy guy, the grandfather, and that's where all the money came from. And Mr. Stratton was just kind of like, we're gonna
have to look this up. I think he was a toy inventor.
Okay.
And that was a great show with Ricky Schroeder before he became a conservative douchebag. So you can remember the good old days.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
But
all right. Well,
So
your studio looks fantastic, Steve.
Oh, thank you.
It does.
I appreciate it. A lot of effort's gone into it. So, when we left the episode number 2 there with a bit of a cliffhanger, I had told everyone that I had met the woman of my dreams, fallen head over heel in love. We had gotten engaged just 9 short months ago on Christmas Day. A few months later, we bought a house together. We had been living together for 2 years. So raising my kids, who I have 50-50 every other week, we're raising our kids together, got this house together, engaged to be married. But things started going badly when we got this house, right? And in full disclosure, like the woman I'm talking about, spoiler alert, she was in a position where she owned a home before COVID and the price had soared. So she was in a position where she sold the house and bought this new house. So it was entirely in her name. But we did all the bills together, put money towards closing together, split everything. And, we told our kids, family home, we're going to live here. You'll come back here someday with your kids from college.
Forever home.
This is our forever home. But I shared with you guys that, things were not going very well. Things were like spiraling big time ever since we got into that house. And we were arguing a lot. And we're both yellers and screamers and both hardcore arguers and debaters, partially for what I do for a living. And, she's in a corporate world. She audits major companies. She sits in boardrooms with, the heads of Twitter and whatnot. And she tells these people you're doing things wrong. And so, we were both pretty good arguers and things have been spiraling. And so I ended the last podcast telling you guys that I put our engagement on hold, that things have become borderline abusive, in my opinion, not physically, but just, verbally. It was just out of control. So, so we ended the last show saying that engagement's on hold. We've started into therapy, and we're going to be doing this program. Here it is for viewers at home. The 7 Principles of Making Marriage Work by Dr. Gottman, which I read. It's a good book. You should read it.
PhD, dude.
Yeah, sure. You can't be wrong. So, and I think we ended at the end of July. So I was telling you guys that we had therapy coming up in just like 4 or 5 days. And, we weren't really talking, and this therapy session back was going to be our start down a new path. Today is a new day. Today is the first day of the rest of your life, right?
Yes. Moment of reckoning.
Right. So I show up to therapy that day, and here's the deal, audience, and Nick and Brewski. We're going to give the short version of today's story on today's show. There's probably going to be an entire other episode where we're going to get into this line by line and talk about a lot of it, because it has to deal with legalities and pop culture and Me Too and all of these things. So we're going to explore it in depth some other day, but I'll just give you the short version for today's show.
Brewski and I are just going to let you lead today's destination. So we'll get into more of it later, but you just feel free to lead this all.
It's the Cliff's Notes version.
Yes. And Nick, if I do start drifting or anything into any category or territory I shouldn't be in, feel free to interrupt me.
All right.
So anyway, we show up to therapy that day. She walks in with a prepared written statement that she gave me a signed copy of so I could read along with her. And the statement.
Who handed it to you? That's my question. You got into therapy, and did she just hand it to you?
She handed copies to me and to the shrink. And
was that notarized too?
Not notarized, no. But I was there as my own witness to it all. And only someone like her, a CPA, would print all of this out and sign it ahead of time. As if I needed her to sign it. But anyway, hey, this isn't signed, so I'm not.
I don't believe this is really what you're feeling and what you're thinking.
Right. So the statement, in short, says relationship is over as of now. You need to leave the house immediately. Get your stuff and go. If you do not leave the house right now, I will call the police. I will get a restraining order. I will tell the neighbors. Just leave the house immediately. Don't ever want to hear or see from you again. She turned around and left. And that is essentially the last time I've seen or heard from her.
I feel like there's a part to back up on a little bit that I feel like is important to the story.
Feel free.
When you were going into therapy, maybe like a week before therapy, and I hope I'm not talking out of class here, but like you guys had a conversation And it was like you said, you weren't talking much. You had this conversation and you said, like, it seems like you're just done with me.
Yeah.
And she made the comment of like, no, what are you talking about? No. Like we're going to have therapy on Tuesday. And no, I'm not done with you.
The entire month of July, I now know she was over me and was probably trying to set me up to explode or something, or create some scenario that she could say, look, everyone, he's crazy. And
was set up like a motherfucker.
Yes. Oh, yes. Dude, I got executed gangster style. What she did, I would never do to my worst enemy. And a lot of that's part of the story we'll tell some other day. But I had told her the week or so prior, like, the way you're acting and treating me, like, I feel like this relationship's over. Like, let's just have that conversation. And like Nick said, she's like, no. Like, we'll be at therapy on Tuesday. And, on we go. I'm 100% committed. And, and at that time, like, my car was in the shop and she had left the house. I hadn't seen her in days, and she refused to come pick me up for therapy, which I thought was very odd. So I told her, like, I'll just be on Zoom then. Like, and she was like, no, like, you have to be there in person. And I thought, oh, she wants to look me in the eye and we'll, everything will be. She wanted to get me out of the house because part of her threat in that letter was that she would change the locks. She was going to install security cameras. Like, she went off the freaking deep end. Wow. And so she immediately left therapy. I hung out for a few minutes to talk to the therapist of like, what in the world just happened? And can she just throw me out of my house like that? And by the way, the therapist who I need to file a complaint against basically told me like, oh yeah, no, she can do that. Like, you're screwed. You shouldn't challenge that at all. You should just pack your shit and go. Yeah. And so when I got to my house, to our home, the locks had been changed. And that was that.
That was an hour, dude. It was an hour.
She had people at the house while we were at therapy. That's why I couldn't be on Zoom. She had people show up, change the locks. She had a whole posse there waiting for me.
Man, I wish I were there with you, Steve. I wish I were there with you.
When I told you guys about my divorce, I told you that when my ex-wife dropped it on me at first, that it was such a devastating thing that I literally almost killed myself. It was the worst day of my life and the most traumatic event of my life. I have to now say that this has now been the worst day of my life. Not today. That day where she illegally evicted me and my children from our family home after we had just started therapy, after we were engaged to be married. I mean, it was it's that old cliche about the guy that goes out for a pack of smokes and then never comes home and just leaves his family.
Right. Yeah.
She did the female equivalent of that. Just you and your kids are gone, effective now. Relationship is over. Don't ever want to see or hear from you again. She burned everything on Facebook, blocked phone numbers, emails. Like, she just vanished on me. It's as if she died, but she's not dead. And if she was dead, I could be mourning her or something. Like, no, she just fucking just canceled it.
No,
set me up to show up to therapy. No. It was done. It was over.
Yeah, this is our last conversation and where you don't get to speak. I'm going to speak to you and I'm going to leave, which is heartbreaking on so many freaking levels, dude.
She did it all on purpose to maximize the torture to me and to just burn it to the ground so she couldn't go back. And I know that is how she ends relationships. But I was a fool because I thought, well, we're going to be together forever, so I don't have to worry about her doing that to me.
Not going to happen to me, sure.
No, I mean, when she was married for like 2 years back, and she was unhappy. And instead of just ending her marriage, she went out and had an affair and let her husband catch her. That was the whole reason she did it, so that she could just burn it to the ground.
She loves drama. She loves drama.
Catastrophic failure. There's no coming back. I can't change my mind. I'm going to fuck it up so bad that it's done for sure.
Yes. She had years later lived with a boyfriend who had a daughter. And when that relationship ended, I don't even think I told you the story, Nick. I kind of forgot about it until recently. They all lived together and the lease on that place was in her name. So she just moved out. She just said, lease is up at the end of this month. You can stay or go, but I'm leaving. Like, see you later. And just left him. Like, so, this is kind of her pathology, and there is more to the story and more that happened afterwards. But
not even kind of her pathology, dude. This is what she's done every single time.
It's a pattern.
Yeah. And for some reason, I thought that because, we were engaged and raising kids together and all this stuff that, that you would fight to the last, you just wouldn't give up like that.
Sure.
Just run away from a family.
But some people, when they're out, they're out. But they also they're a coward because they're not willing to face you and face the issue. If you want it to be over with, just tell me you want it to be over with, and then leave.
Yes.
We
should have spent that last therapy session with her breaking the shock of like, hey, it's over. And we could have talked through it all. And by the end of the hour, the shock would have worn off and we could have come up with an amicable way to split things up.
Yeah.
She saw me divorce my wife of 17 years completely amicably. No lawyers involved, no arguing over property. We lived together for the last 30 days while I found a new house. I mean, there's no history on my end to show that I would not break up nicely.
It was done humanly, dude. It was done in a humane way. And she could have had that too. This is the thing. I think the sincere problem was that if she had you around, she would have changed her mind or would have gone back and forth. You know what I mean? Because she was, like I said, trying to blow it up so it was unrecognizable and you were out. I think that if it would have been done in that way, she would have had to leave because she's so back and forth, dude. She's so high and low. And I mean, there's really no shades of gray in it. So high and low. Yeah. And in those highs, you guys had such a good relationship, you know, in those highs, things were fantastic. And in those lows, things got really dark, dude.
Yes. Listen, I see all the red flags looking back. We had a lot of dark moments, but I convinced myself that these were things we could solve.
Of course.
When things were good, they were the best I've ever had. And when things were bad, though, they were the worst.
Yeah.
But it used to be 90% of the time it was good and only 1 out of 10 it was bad. But ever since we moved to the house, it was completely the opposite. It was 9 times out of 10 things were terrible and only 1 out of 10 were we having a good time and whatnot. So yeah. And then, you know, I found out that day in a very harsh manner from legal authorities that if somebody does that to you, if they throw you out of your house and change your locks, it's illegal. You can't actually do that.
Exactly.
But it's a civil matter. It is not a criminal matter, which means you got to go get lawyers involved. You got to go through the court process. And if somebody's willing to pay the penalties for what that is, then who cares? They write you a check for a few hundred or a few grand, and then they're done with you.
Right.
And she's in that sort of position where she just said, I don't care what the penalties are going to be, you know, let them come, and just utterly burned it all down. And, you know, I'm over here thinking like, sure, I can, you know, lawyers ended up getting involved to get all my stuff out of the house like 3 fucking weeks later.
Oh,
but there was no solution to any of this, right? I mean, the relationship was over. So yeah, I could maybe go home and sleep in my bed for a few nights and pack like a normal human, but she wasn't going to let that happen. And the law was going to take way too long to make something like that happen. So I was just fucked. I was literally homeless for the first time in my goddamn life as a 46-year-old man, father, own a business. Like, you know, I had no home to go to. So I spent 2 weeks either sleeping on the floor of my radio station or living at hotels, burning money left and right as I'm now trying to go find a new home for me and my kids.
At the top rental market of, you know, the last 20 years.
Yeah. I live in Lake Tahoe, and this whole area has exploded in the real estate market from COVID. And so prices are just insane, not a lot of options. And normally when you house hunt, you take a few weeks, maybe a few months.
Right.
Like, I had to go out and just like, what's available today? This one, okay, I guess I have to take it because I'm goddamn homeless and I need to have my kids come back over. I don't have my cat, by the way. Not only did I not have any of my possession, she kept my fucking cat. Yeah. Like, I had nothing. I was thrown out onto the goddamn street by the woman I was about to marry. The woman who was helping raise my children.
Yep. Who had only a week before this all talked about, our forever home. This is, you know, yes. She wasn't kind in any way. I'll say that. And, you know, I've heard of this kind of thing happening, not this particular thing, but like people being homeless for a while. And I never realized like what that actually meant until I had someone close to me go through it. Like, to not have anything, to have a duffel bag of a few clothes and stuff like that is, and you don't have any access to it. You don't have any access and no immediate legal recourse to change that. It's just devastating, dude. You've been through so much, man.
Well, if I may interject here a little bit,
Yes.
my experience were coming up on when it happened 9 years ago, and it was kind of the same thing with Jen, where she broke up with me on a Saturday, and then Monday I go to work at the radio station, and my entire sales team got fired, including the I was the account manager for. I texted her and I said, "Hey, I'm lost my job and this, that, and the other thing." And now on Saturday when she broke up with me, she said that I could have a couple of weeks to find a place to live and that sort of thing. And I got home. I took the bus from Elliott Ave up to Greenwood and got to the house that we were renting at the time. And I walked in and she's like, "Hey, can I talk to you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she said, "I told you could have a couple of weeks to find a place to live, but I want you out of the house right away."
Damn.
So now I have no job. I have, and she wants me. Fortunately, what happened was a friend of ours, through her, and needed somebody to house it for a month while she went to go work in Hawaii. And she said, "Hey, I talked to Lainey." She said she asked you if you could house it for a month, and I said, "Yeah, I wasn't going to do it." She was like, "Well, I think you should just go and stay there." So at least I had a place to go to, but it was
I had a friend here in Tahoe that had a similar thing where his wife was like, "You're leaving, but I took the time to find you a place. So here's the key. Go to this address." I'm like, "At least she found you a fucking place." Like,
yeah, yeah. Well,
by the way, can we just mention quickly here that Steve's car's been in the body shop for months, so you didn't even have a fucking car.
No, I had to
You
ride
didn't even
my
have a
bicycle.
car to sleep in, dude.
Yeah,
No,
me too.
I rode my bicycle to therapy that day in like a 98-degree weather day and all that. And yeah, I had to have a friend come pick me up that day that I got to my house and realized I was locked out of it. I called someone. This was the middle of a Tuesday. Like everyone was working, and I had one friend who works for me. So I guess maybe that's how he got off the clock.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, he had to come out and pick me up, sitting on the fucking curb with a bag of some random things. Like it was terrible. And as I've mentioned, there's more complication of the story that happened from that point forward. But I can't even go there right now. But it doesn't matter to the great point of the story. She just vanished on me and the kids, threw us out of the house, and I have not seen or heard from her since. And then yeah.
What do you have something?
It was jarring would be the least. Yes.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. Do you have something in your mind that you have rehearsed since over and over again, that if you had a chance to say anything to her, that these are the things that you would say? Have you gone over that in your head over and over?
Sorry. What would I say to her? I don't know.
No, I mean, have you been thinking? Has that been stuck in your mind because you couldn't talk to her? Was it stuck in your mind this whole time? Like, if I did have a second with her, this is fucking what I'd say. I don't know how you got that out of your mind, because there's no conclusion. There's no fucking conclusion on your side.
Listen, closure is a real thing. And to not have any it's been devastating. It's like a death, as if somebody just died and you don't get to say goodbye. You don't get to ask any questions. It's just gone. Yeah. And even that day, like, I had prepared myself. I thought, she may show up and just try to end this. And so I had to hold on, like, let's move apart for 30, like, let's do something. We can't just end this. Like, I had things. She wouldn't hear it. She would not let me get a word in edgewise. And even at the house, when the doors were locked and all that stuff, I had some level of communication. It was difficult because her friends were there and all that. But, I basically said, how can you do this? Like, we're a family, we have kids. Like, you can't just throw us out. Yeah. And she said, I got to worry about myself. Your kids are not my problem. The only thing you need to worry about is the next chapter of your life. And she had just this look of just disdain, hatred. That person that day, I didn't know that person, never met him before.
That's Jekyll and Hyde right there.
Yeah. I mean, I'd seen glimmers of it, but she had, and it's one thing when you're fighting to say extreme, to get out of this house. Or I'm going to, I'm going to do this crazy thing. Like, she, I now understand, took weeks to plan this out.
Yeah. It was meticulously plotted.
Yes. Meticulously planned out. Having the locks changed, having people show up at these prepared statements, all these things. Like, it's one thing in the heat of, anger to do something, but when you've got days and weeks and you're still doing this sort of dark, twisted burn everything to the ground sort of thing, like, yeah, I gotta wonder what dark part of your soul that is coming from. We were literally just sleeping next to each other, and now you're just throwing me out on the fucking street.
Yeah.
And there's
like
a
you
reason
said,
that's illegal, because you just aren't supposed to do that to people. But as I
Yeah.
explained, if you got a checkbook and you want to write a check and
you can do
work
it.
the system, you can do it.
Yep.
So yeah,
Well, so that was what was that? That was the 2nd of
August 2nd.
August.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we're sitting now. We're recording this on September 6th. So yeah, 30, almost 5 weeks now.
5 weeks, dude. That's crazy. Kudos to you. I don't know how you pulled it all off, Harness.
Well, okay. So a couple of things here, Nick. One, I don't know how I pulled it off either, but I would not have without you. Nick and I play best friends on the radio, but Nick is the only human being that has really never fucked me over. And I kind of exclude you from that, Brewski. I mean, you threatened to kick my ass once or twice, but besides that, Nick is actually, Nick and I have known each other. We're both 46. We're born like 10 days apart. We've known each other since we were 22, I think. And you've absolutely been there at every step of my life, especially the dark parts. And when I called Nick that day, and told him what had happened, and within a few days, it was pretty obvious that I was fucked and things weren't going to just magically unwind, and I wasn't going to get to go home and all that. And I'm living in hotels, and, I had the first panic attack of my life, sitting alone in this dark hotel room, just wanting to go home, and I couldn't. Yeah. And, and Nick got on a plane and flew down, and he spent like a week with me. And dude, yeah, I don't know that I would have survived that week without you. I mean, that was absolutely the lowest point of my life. And you were there. You were a friend. You were more than that. I don't even know how to describe it. You got on a fucking plane and came and sat with me in hotel rooms and bars and
Yeah.
So I know you keep telling me not to thank you, but so I guess I won't. But thank you. I mean,
of course, dude. I appreciate you being thankful for sure. But I'd do it either way. I'd do it for either one of you guys, and I know that. The reason it's so easy is because I know you guys would have the same for me,
Absolutely.
I would.
Yeah.
It was my shrink who finally convinced me to call Nick, because she basically said, like, what would you do if the shoe was on the other foot? I said, of course I'd be there for him. And she said, do you think it'd be easier if he was standing here next to you? I said, yeah.
Yeah, it was funny because I kept saying,
like,
I'm gonna get on a plane, dude. I'm gonna come down there. Steve was like, yeah, just we'll see. And then finally your shrink said, you better tell him to come, dude. And yeah. I'm glad she did.
Yeah.
Because you needed somebody that week, that was like you said, I mean, I can't even imagine. It was a miserable fucking week for sure.
Yeah.
But stepping up since then, dude, has been something that's been pretty amazing to watch. I mean, I don't know how everyone reacts when they're in a depression or in a heartbreak, but I just
in a trauma.
In a trauma. I want to fucking lay down. I don't want to move.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk to people. I just need some alone time and everything else. And that we all know that's not the best thing for us when we're in that moment, but like, you've fucking stood up, dude, and made some pretty amazing choices. The fact that you're in a new house that is fucking moved into and decorated and all ready to go, that your kids are back, and that you've kept your fucking business on the other side of all of this personal life running is fairly miraculous.
Yeah. I don't feel miraculous or like I deserve any credit, but I have no choice. What my ex didn't have kids, and she did not understand the concept of family, the concept of putting somebody ahead of yourself, and that a family, the parts are greater than, or the whole is greater than the sum of its parts, I guess.
Yeah.
Is she an only child, by the way?
No, but she comes from a really fractured, messed up family.
Okay.
So she has no real good bearing from her childhood of what a family is and from our time. And I think it's because of that she was able to just flip back into selfish single woman mode and say, sorry, kids. I mean, children, a 13-year-old and a 16-year-old, she threw them out of their home.
Yeah.
kept their cat from that. I mean, it was just.
It's been an
brutal
interesting thing to think about that. Well, there's people out there that I suppose don't quite understand what it means to love somebody more than you love yourself. And I mean, she couldn't have kids, dude. She could have never been a great mother to those kids or a stepmother to those kids. Yeah, she doesn't have that.
No, I mean, maybe if she had her own kids, like a lot of parents, like it clicks with you, but she never did, and she couldn't understand the concept. And I've talked to so many people, like the people that freaking moved me, like strangers that overheard some of the story. They just said, like, "Hey, man, like, you don't do this when kids are involved. Like, you can break up and break up like adults and amicably, or even if you're going to fight about it, but you don't just throw people out of their home, children out of their home. The guy you were going to marry. I mean." Over 2 years living together. I mean, you just don't do that.
The most basic way to think about this for me, this is how I think about it. If I had to just describe it in one word, it's just fucking heartless, dude. And I mean that is the true meaning of the word. Like none of this was done with any heart,
Yes. Yeah. So not only have I been dealing with a breakup, which anyone who's been through one knows that's a heartbreak all on its own, but then I've been dealing with this just straight up abusive tragedy of just being evicted from my home, living in hotels for 2 weeks. But then even when I got this home, I lived in this home empty for a week. I couldn't get my furniture. She kept delaying the process and putting all these roadblocks in place. And again, I wasn't even talking to her. I had to get a lawyer involved to try to negotiate a time where I could show up. And I didn't get to pack anything. I just showed up with movers and just started grabbing shit, including my entire studio that I had just built. We just moved in that home 3 fucking months ago. I just finished unpacking.
It's fucking so insane to me, dude.
So yeah, so I had to go back and grab everything. So yeah, I spent 2 weeks completely homeless, and then a third week just in an empty house, sleeping on the floor. I mean, it was just absolutely terrible. So, we got a guest calling in here in about 12 minutes. So we're going to talk more about some of this stuff, breakups and relationships and all that stuff. But there's a few highlights I got to run through here before we can get to them.
Please do.
Okay. So also on the last show, I talked to everyone about my ex-wife, Jamie, and the fact that she was, or the fact that she is dating a guy out on parole for murder at the time. And I told the whole story about how I found out about this, that, I had met the guy, he seemed nice enough to me, but nobody told me about his past. And the whole reason I met him was to gauge, are you okay to be around my kids? And months went by and I ended up finding out through a private investigator that his ex-wife, because the guy got married while he was in prison, which is a whole nother story. I found out about this months later, and it was shocking. It was just the news of, hey, your ex-wife is dating a guy out on parole for felony murder. He's home alone with your children. Like, I freaked the hell out, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was a shocking thing. And as I've told my ex-wife multiple times, I'm not pissed off that he and a buddy killed somebody when he was 16 in a robbery gone wrong. I'm pissed off that you guys didn't tell me about this and that you kept it from me. And then I found out through a third party, and my head spiraled before it was terrible.
Give me the opportunity to make my own, draw my own conclusion on the situation.
Yes. And, our relationship has not really been the best since then. We've had a lot of friction. I mean, we've still kept things very amicable, and still no one's threatening lawyers or any of that kind of crap. But during this whole past month here where I was thrown out and I was homeless, Jamie and Charlie, her guy, he's not on parole anymore, just for the record.
It's actually been completely exonerated.
Yeah, well, no, I wouldn't say that.
Yeah. Yes,
okay.
Dude.
Has he?
Yeah.
Is that the determination? Listen, the guy did a terrible thing when he was a teenager. He spent 20 plus years in one of the worst prisons in America. And the night I went over to their house to tell my kids that Hillary and I were done, first of all, my kids took it poorly, especially my son. It was devastating. So there were a lot of tears, and left the house. And by the way, I had never been invited into my ex-wife's house before. Like, there was some weird standoff we had going with each other where we weren't inviting each other into our homes. It always bothered me. But that was the first night she invited me into her house. And when I left, Charlie came outside, put his hand on my shoulder and just told me, like, stay strong, man. Like, I know breakups suck. Like, your kids need you. we're here for you if you need us. Like, the guy showed me humility and empathy and sympathy, and they gave me an air mattress, the only thing I had to, my only furniture. And about a week or so later, I was back over at the house to get the kids to take them out for some errands. And Charlie pulled me aside and he told me, like, I owe you an apology. The way you found out about my past was completely unacceptable. We never should have done that to you. We should have been honest with you. I felt terrible about it ever since, and I just want to apologize.
Which is, I mean, so here's the thing. I'll even back up to the lie. Like, I understand why you would possibly not feel good about talking about this to a father of the kids you're going to be around. Like, right. That'd be a tough conversation to have. And what a dick for not doing it, right? But not easy. But to be able to come to you and say, hey, I fucked up and I'm sorry is, it's a pretty big thing, dude. I mean, it's a pretty big thing because he doesn't owe you that at this point. I mean, nothing you do is going to change what's happening with him, to a certain degree. So, I mean, I thought it was big of him to come out and share that with you. And
it was really big. And I told him, like, you don't owe me an explanation for your past. Like, I was only upset about our current events, and this is all I wanted. I just wanted somebody to acknowledge that this was fucked up the way we told you. Yeah. And so I shook his hand and we started talking about, he's got a 1-year-old, or no, 3-year-old now. Sorry. He's got a son. And we started talking about everything we were just talking about, like being a parent changes your perspective on things. And how could any of this stuff be happening to you? And
Brewski knows all about it, dude.
Well, yeah, that's a whole other tale. Tune into episode 2 where Brewski discovered he had an adult son. So. But anyways, my point is, after I got done talking to him, I immediately drove over to my ex-wife's work and told her, like, this is what Charlie told me and I appreciate it. It's all I've needed to hear. And I just want to bury the hatchet with both of you. Like, I don't need it. I don't need the stress. Like, we're a family circle. And now here I am the fool. I was going to be marrying this, upstanding corporate woman who completely fucked our entire family over. And here you are with the guy trying to restart his life after spending it in prison. And he's done nothing wrong. He's been a good guy these last 2 years. My kids adore him. I've heard of no incidents. Like, so I owe some humble pie here. Like, I got to acknowledge that you guys seem to be doing just fine. And the humanity and humility you've shown me during this process is something I can't just ignore. Yeah. So, as I was telling Nick the other night, if you had told me 6 weeks ago that you're not going to be engaged to Hillary anymore, your relationship will be over, you're going to move back out of your brand new house, back home to Lake Tahoe, and you and Jamie and Charlie are all going to become friends, I would have told you that is fucking preposterous. No kidding. Here we are. But literally here we fucking are. Yeah. And it's just the whole, I guess you can't really predict where life is going. And sometimes tragedy brings out the good in some people. It's all mind blowing, but that's where I find myself now. Yeah, that's where you find yourself. And then fast forward to yesterday, and now you're out having social functions with them. Yeah, we all went to see.
Oh yeah, I saw that online.
Yeah, I had bought tickets to see Jack Johnson with Hillary. When tickets go on sale a long time ago.
Are we saying that just free and clear now?
What?
That name?
I guess I announced it on the first show. I'm not naming her full name or social security number.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I just didn't know if you wanted to do that.
Well, we were going to just start calling her the Hindenburg, but
humanity.
Exactly. I mean, we can do that too, but
No, you whatever you're comfy with, dude. I just want to make time notes.
If you hear me announcing her home address or something, you can stop me. Otherwise, okay. Her name's Hillary. I've announced it previously, So anyway, so we had tickets to Jack Johnson, and I did not really want to go because I just didn't want to be reminded of it all. But then Jamie and Charlie got extra tickets. They were going to bring the kids, and everyone invited me to come out. So yeah, we went out and saw the concert, and we went out as a whole family circle, the 5 of us. It's crazy,
and it went well, dude, right?
I mean, personally, I had a few little struggles just with the whole being out in public and being at a show or, blah, blah, blah. But no, it went really well. Everyone had a really nice time. And, Had more chats with Charlie. Charlie is now texting me. Like, we're now texting buddies. We text about father issues, and he texts me, just, keep your chin up and all that stuff. Like, again, I can remember an era where I asked, like, give me that guy's phone number. And it was like, you will never have that man's phone number.
I remember that.
Right. And now we're buddies. We're texting back and forth. And,
I shared a little bit of that with Rachel last night. Rachel's who she's my wife. And she was blown away that he was, first of all, just showing you that kindness and everything, but she thought it was kind of cool that it was happening. And I agree, dude. I mean, yeah, the guy's paid his time now for what he's done or what he was involved in.
Yeah. And by the way, he told me, if you have any questions about my past, I'll tell you anything. And my initial response to him was, you don't owe me any explanations for your past, but kind of think we should get him on the show.
Dude, I don't know how.
I mean, seriously.
I don't know how we cannot. I have so many questions that only he can answer.
He spent over 20 years in San Quentin.
Yeah.
The most famously not good prisons in the country.
So I wanted to know, did you bump into Scott Peterson? I want to know, did you bump into certain people? And I want to know, there's so many questions I have.
Yes.
And we could get, I'm sure, any former prisoner of San Quentin on the air with us, but it would be really interesting to have a candid conversation, especially if he is so open to it. He's worked, as far as I'm informed, he's working in some programs where this is not completely out of his life. He's trying to help people that are in a similar situation to him. So he would just be interesting to talk to all the way around, dude.
Yeah. Like you said, anyone who spent that amount of time in a prison, I would love to talk to, just to hear the crazy, the horrific, just what that life must have been like. But so I think we're gonna have to book him on one of these shows and just have a little chat. Not to embarrass him by any means, or
no, not like that at all.
Yeah, I'm proud of the way he's reformed and doing in life. I would only give him kudos and appreciation for that. But it would be interesting to hear some of the shit.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
So I'll work on getting him booked for a future episode.
Any chance that you can think of that you guys may end up just being sort of buddies that go out and do things together?
Some dirt bike riding?
Maybe.
You, him, and Cross, go out do some dirt bike riding?
Again, it's hard for me to compute this and say yes, I can see Charlie and I be buddies, but based on the last several weeks, I can see it happening.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Why don't you set up a little bit about our guest? She should be here in a 2 minutes.
Yeah. I'm waiting for her to pop in any moment here. But so given everything I've just told you all, I have to move forward with my life. I got to put the pieces back together. I have to keep my family together. I have to keep a home so my children can come here.
Yeah.
And at some point, I have to start dating again. I'm a lover. I want my partner. I want my fucking person. I thought I had my person. I've been looking for 46 years and I thought I found them and I didn't.
Go easy.
Oh, please. So yes, I know I'm fresh out of a horrific tragedy.
Just let it happen. Nice and easy.
Yeah.
There you go.
Let it wash over you like a wave. Grief is fun.
Listen,
don't worry about it.
I gotta find out how to move on.
I'll go real slow.
Are you on the internet dating, Brewski? Have you seen you on that?
Yes.
Oh, you guys are both doing the internet dating, and
I'm everywhere.
Good. I'm glad, and we can talk about some of your. Oh, okay, so here's our guest. So
okay,
listen, I got a whole thing that maybe we'll just bring up with her, but
okay,
so let's bring her on. I'll introduce her. We'll get her up to speed, and then we'll start to have the discussion. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see how this is working. Julie, are you there? Hello.
Oh. Hi there. Yep,
there she is.
To my video. Hold on.
No problem. All right, everybody. This is Julie.
Spira. Oh, Spira.
Yes. All right, Julie. Can you hear us? Can you see us all?
I hear you. I see you all. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm Steve. Everyone else introduce themselves.
Hi, I'm Nick.
And I'm Brewski.
And now this
Nick
just felt like the dating
Brewski?
game all of a sudden.
Oh my gosh, I know. Which ones of you are single? Is anyone single in this group?
Well, we'll catch you up on that story. Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Okay.
Brewski is our producer and sidekick. He's in Boston. Nick and I are the hosts. He's up in Seattle. I'm in Lake Tahoe, California. Where are you at? Just in the country, if you don't mind us asking.
Well, I was in Lake Tahoe earlier this month, but I'm in Palm Springs today, where it's probably like 117 or some crazy number.
Yeah. What has been going on with this heat wave, man? It's just been killing everybody. Some people literally, but Steve and I are hosting the program from a very hot place. We don't have air conditioning, so we're doing our best.
And according to the news today, this West Coast heat wave peaks today at exactly this time right now. So this is as hot as it's going to be. So where you're at, it's even hotter. So Julie, before I catch you up on what we've all been discussing that we're bringing you on board here, why don't you, Julie Spira, you're with cyberdatingexpert.com. Explain what makes you a dating expert.
That's a great question. What makes me a dating expert? Well, I started dating online and coaching singles on dating online over 25 years ago.
Wow.
I think Cosmo dubbed me the pioneer of online dating.
Oh, okay. We have an expert then, everyone.
Yes, I would say so.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is a fair question, but are you married or in a relationship?
That's a very fair question. I am in a relationship with somebody I met online.
Oh, okay. So it can work out.
Yes,
okay, good. All right. So cyberdatingexpert.com. Is your site just strictly coaching, basically? It's not an actual online dating site, or is it?
No, it's actually dating advice. I provide a bunch of dating advice on the site. People send me private messages. I answer their questions and ask the cyber dating expert. And it's just a place for people to go when they're feeling lonely and they need a little hand holding.
Gotcha. Okay. And do you have advice on breakups? If you're good at putting people together, are you an expert on breakups too?
Oh, yes. It's actually like we have these peaks in our business. And I think there's a peak right now for breakup season, just because the summer is over and cuffing season, which we'll get into in a little bit, is around the corner. So anybody who had a summer romance, that may be dwindling down.
I see.
Is it also a truth that like a lot of people decided to shack up during COVID, and now that things are starting to get better, that people are running away from each other?
Well, that's also a great question. During COVID, people who just started dating, it was like, okay, do we move in together or break up? Because people had to quarantine and they wanted to feel safe. So we have what we call fast track relationships. And those are the relationships that maybe they went out for a weekend, maybe they went out on 3 or 4 dates, and they're like, do we like each other enough to cohabitate? Otherwise, we might as well just break up now or end up as a digital pen pal. So there were a lot of relationships. People were very lonely and looking to connect during the early days of the pandemic, more than ever.
Yeah, that whole thing is fascinating to me because I know a few people who did exactly what you said. Few month of dating and they thought, well, do we get together or break apart? And getting together and moving in with somebody that quickly that you don't know all that well. Yeah. I mean, I suppose it could work sometimes, but.
Well, I had told the story on the last episode about the fact that I started dating somebody right before COVID. So when it started, I wasn't like head over heels with the woman, but I was also like, I don't want to spend the plague alone. So I kind of kept the relationship going. And kept dating, cyber dating and all that. And then I eventually found someone else. But yeah, I had that same conundrum of like, I just want to be locked home alone. Like, I'd rather be with someone than, even if it's not Mr. or Mrs. Right for now. Right.
Well, but what happened to that pandemic relationship? How long did it last?
Well, so 2 parts to that answer. That one, so we had started at the beginning of the pandemic, but I kept internet dating. And then I met a woman who we eventually, after weeks of chatting, met on a park bench. 6 feet apart. We wanted to try to keep by the rules and all that, but we fell head over heels in love. I immediately ended the other relationship, and that woman and I were together for 2.5 years. We got engaged this past Christmas. I have 2 kids that, we've been living together for 2 years, raising them together. We called ourselves a family, and we just bought a new home together and then moved in together. And then one day I came home and the locks were changed and she was just gone. Haven't seen or heard from her since.
She ghosted you. You were engaged and she ghosted you.
Yeah, super ghosted. Changed the locks on the house, threw me out to the street. Had to go through a lawyer to get all my crap back.
Oh my gosh, no note. Okay, so the good news is you
Yeah.
get to start over with somebody who's not crazy, who's going to do such a thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Right? Who does that? If I told you, hey, Julie, I'm going to break up with my girlfriend, my fiance, and she's got kids. My plan is just to change the locks and vanish. Is that a healthy way to handle that?
Oh, we would call you a dickhead right away. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I'm glad to hear the expert is. Yeah, all the studio audience is going crazy.
Yes.
So Julie, that's my current situation. Nick is happily married. I was about to be happily married. Brewski has been single for a while. So I guess my first question would be, any advice for somebody that's just been through a unnecessarily devastating, ridiculously bad breakup?
Well, that is devastating and bad. I would say you have to keep reminding yourself that you dodged a bullet. Could you imagine, I mean, if you had to get a lawyer just to get your things back, can you imagine if you got married, how difficult it would be to get unmarried?
Yeah.
So you dodged a bullet. And I think, relationships take time, and you did have, invest an amount of time. And I always say you need to be with someone through every season. Well, you did that twice, but the numbers are, the divorce rates are high. So take your time, especially with children involved.
Yes.
What does that mean, Julie, to take your time? This is
because that's a big question we're debating.
Conversation that Steve and I are having. I mean, obviously, before you came on, Steve let everyone know that he is a lover. I've known Steve for over half my life. Steve does not like to be alone, and I don't know many people who do, but some people are more comfortable with it than others. But Steve is self-proclaimed. He does not want to be alone. He'd rather have a loving relationship and jump right back in.
Yes. I'm a partner person. I want to find my person. I've been looking my whole life. I was married for 17 years, divorced 3 years ago, and started back out. And I knew it was a numbers game. I just had to meet as many people as I could to try to find my person. And now I feel like I've wasted 2.5 years. And every day I don't get myself back out there. Maybe I just missed her at the coffee shop. Maybe she just signed up on Hinge and I'm not on there. Like, I'm racked by these questions. So how long am I supposed to be waiting?
Until the right one comes along. That could be tomorrow. That could be a year from now. No one has the magic wand to say, hey, the perfect one for you is at that coffee shop down the street. Yeah. But what I can tell you is that you have to be in the game. You have to play to win. And most people don't want to be alone. I did a survey on dating in the age of COVID-19 during the pandemic and found out that 83% of singles said they wanted to be in a long-term, meaningful relationship, a committed relationship, more now than ever, as compared to, I think 3 to 4% said they couldn't wait to get back to hooking up like they did before. So wow. The good news is there are a lot of people that are looking for meaningful relationships. And I think this fall, leading into this holiday season, when people are just so over the COVID rules to a certain degree, that people are going to be much more open with their hearts.
That's interesting. So here's a question for you. It's how to find that person, right? Like, I feel like internet dating is the only option. I feel like in the Me Too era, that for me to go up to a woman at Starbucks and hit on her is like creepy and inappropriate. I know that's the classic way to meet someone, but I don't feel like I can do that. So I feel like internet dating is the only viable option.
Why you got to hit on her though? I mean, why can't you just start out with a friendship and a conversation?
It's still creepy. You're at Starbucks. Hey, how you doing? You live around here?
I do it all the time, and I'm married, dude. I mean, not for it to lead anywhere, but I talk to people all the time. I don't know why you're gonna make it creepy if you want.
But that's the thing. You're just being a nice guy chatting to people. Nick does this. He chats people up. Everyone loves Nick. He's got this
Everybody
ability.
Loves Nick.
Yes, but I don't have that ability. Most people don't like me.
Nick has the art of flirting down. And so you need to practice, Steve, your flirting skills. And you have to look at everyone as like a potential new friend. I'm not saying to go to Starbucks to look for friends. I'm saying that you don't know if it's going to go the distance. You don't even know if you're going to get to a first date. But right. Talk to people and figure out, is this somebody that I like in my social network that I would bring to a party?
But how do you really do that at a Starbucks or something? Because the advantage of online dating is you can see age, children, politics, alcohol use. Like, you know so much about someone before you ever approach them. But in Starbucks, she could be pretty, but if she's a Trump lover, get away from me.
Well, in any event, yeah, you have to be on your mobile phone. That is for sure. And you need to be on 1 to 3 dating apps, and you need to log on 3 times a day. Most definitely at 7 p.m. at night. What are you doing at 7 p.m. at night?
Okay. See, these are good notes. This is why we're talking to everyone.
And the reason is because people come home from work or they've gone on a bad date and they're kind of feeling like discouraged or lonely, and they go and they log on to their dating profile. They wonder what's wrong with it. They change the photos around. They change the graphics and the text here and there. But that's the time. 7 to 9 p.m. is kind of what we call in our business peak dating time, or at least peak scrolling time on your dating apps where you can swipe left or right.
Interesting. And what are some good sites nowadays?
It really depends on what you're looking for. Now, you mentioned Hinge. So is that how you met your last relationship on Hinge?
Yes.
Okay. So you probably have a bad taste in your mouth about Hinge at this moment in time.
A little bit. Sorry, Hinge. If you want to sponsor the show, I'll get over it.
All right. So we're going to break up with Hinge right now. Okay. But I would say, off the top of my head, you should probably be on like Match and Bumble. And the reason I say that is because Match has more members than almost any dating site. And Bumble is so easy to use. And since the women have to make the first move and say hello first in the chat, you have less likelihood of rejection when you match with somebody on Bumble.
Yeah, there's a lot of rejection in internet dating, I've noticed. Because even if you send out a like and they don't send one back, you realize like, geez, I sent out 30 likes yesterday and no one replied. So there's a lot of hurt going on there, but that's okay. It's part of the process. I get it. Now, okay, so I will confess to you guys now, and I think Nick probably knows this, but maybe 2 weeks after this devastating breakup, I started getting back on social dating apps because I wasn't ready, but I was so rejected that I just wanted to have some form of human interaction, maybe have somebody give me a like, maybe I could feel not completely worthless. So I did sign up for a couple, and I've just been sort of browsing around. But the big question everyone keeps saying is, how long do you have to wait? But what's too soon? What's too long? Is there some indicator in my heart that will tell me you're ready? Or do I just put one foot in front of the other?
Oh, I think you're ready. You're just waiting for the right one just to sort of show up on your screen and end up on a date with. But here's the thing, it does take time. And I would say that the most important thing is to be proactive. And so what if 30 people don't like you today? Tomorrow's another day.
Yeah. I think I know what women want on dating apps. Let me tell you what I think they're looking for based on the feedback I've gotten over the years. You tell me if I'm right or wrong.
Please tell us.
Okay. It's relatively simple. First of all, they want a man who is tall. I didn't understand that before. I'm 6'2", so I'm good there. They want a man who's outdoorsy, and they want a man who's funny. I hear that on every single profile. What do you think about that? Outdoorsy, funny, and tall. Shouldn't I have people late? I should have a line outside the studio door, right?
Well, it sounds like you sound like every other profile. The problem is men complain that women's profiles and their wish lists are all the same. And then women complain, they look at the guy's profile and their lazy profiles and they all look the same. So the bottom line is, yes, people want someone with a sense of humor, but if you put it in your profile or you say you're looking for that, or you say you have a good sense of humor, it's just too cliche.
Yeah.
So you have to sort of just. I know, but you say it in your messages. You add a little winky emoji. I mean, you do funny things other than sounding like, remember, no one can hear your voice just yet unless they're listening to you on the air. Yeah. And then as a result, you need to kind of, put, little, as again, smile emojis, flirt emojis. Those things actually add more personality to your messages. But don't play the waiting game. If you see someone you like and they write back to you, don't go, okay, I'm going to look too needy if I write back in 5 minutes. If you don't write back in 5 minutes, I'm telling you that 10 other men will. So you got to be in the game.
So one of my profiles simply says, yes, I'm tall. Yes, I'm funny. Yes, I'm outdoorsy and I have a job. Like, what a catch, right? Is that too on the nose? Or...
No, dude. I'll tell you, I'm not the expert. Get rid of that, dude. Get rid of that sooner than later.
I'm just giving them what they want.
And I'm also very humble.
Okay. First of all, I would say that I need to critique your profile. That is an absolute necessity. But here's the thing about height, okay? Yeah. Most men, women also, they want a man who's 6 foot tall or above. Okay. Yep. Statistically, and this is really a mind blower. Statistically, only 14% of men in the United States are 6 feet tall or taller, 6 feet high. So as a result, that means like 85% of guys under 6 feet aren't getting they're not having sex, they're not going on dates, not getting married. Of course they are. So you don't need to say you're tall if you happen to put in your height is 6'2". A woman's going to scroll. Does he have a job? Okay. Who did he vote for? Okay. Oh, he's over 6 feet tall. Oh, and
so
then
don't be so be honest.
Well, you be indirect about the height, because that is key. And if you say it twice, you're going to sound insecure.
Nick, do you see the games that go on here?
I did, but you're creating them. I mean, I want you to.
I was trying to answer them. You want a tall, funny, outdoorsy guy? Here I am. I'll just tell you that's me.
But at the same time, not everyone wants that. I want you to calm down a little bit. I want you to just calm down a little bit, and you're going to talk to some people. And if the conversation goes well, maybe they become more attractive to you than you thought initially. Like you're going to weave a little web with each other. Just relax a little bit.
Yeah. Brewski, what do you got to say?
Well, I don't think you have to actually come right out and say, I'm tall, or I have a job, and I'm funny, and I'm outdoorsy. And I mean,
I literally said that. Yes.
No, but and I get that, but you don't have to. You don't have to do that, because they'll find it out, like Nick says, as you're having a conversation, as you're getting to know each other. Okay. You know, you get
you're so good at the art of conversation, and you're missing all of that up front here.
I'm trying to make it like Amazon Prime. Like, here's my stats, just order it, right?
That's not what people want.
Do you want the next day delivery? Or do you want the 2-day delivery?
Yeah, I want Prime now. Like, get on over here.
Prime now. But here's the thing, another tip that we really need to look at this is why I want to see your profile. You are only as attractive as your least attractive photo.
Yeah. So I was going to ask you about photos. I know I'm not doing the bare chest in the bathroom mirror crap, but what other kind of pictures should you or should you not be posting?
No fish pictures.
Yeah, no fish pictures, especially if there are no fish pictures. But if you say you're outdoorsy, don't say it, show it. Everything should be like, every picture tells a story, like the song. You should have pictures showing you doing things that you enjoy doing, things that you're passionate about. And if you like hiking, a picture on a trail. If you like fishing, just don't hold the fish, because women hate those photos. I mean, just show yourself on a boat. That shows that you're outdoorsy, because you're on a boat, you're on a hiking trail. But also show that you can dress up nicely for a date or, a Christmas dinner.
You know, it's so funny. One of my all my pictures are almost what you described, like me on a mountain bike or skiing or out in, like, I think I'm doing it pretty well. But one of them is almost a sarcastic picture. I was at a family wedding, and it looks like I'm posing for a J. Crew model, like cover shot. I've got a croquet mallet over my shoulder with a glass of wine, and I'm in a nice suit. And some woman the other day was like, I liked your profile because of that one picture. And I'm just like, that's really not me. But I guess I can clean up when I need to, but I'm more of a t-shirt kind of guy.
Well, which actually brings me advertising. Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can clean up too, but what about deal breakers? Like some women, beard, no way. Kids, no way. Just put it out there and say, screw it. Like, you can't hide that stuff, right?
Don't hide what the truth is. I mean, the worst thing is to be inauthentic. If someone doesn't want to be with somebody with children, and they see someone has children in the profile, they'll just move on to the next profile. So I don't believe in exploiting children, but I do believe in sharing, hey, I'm a dad, I'm a single dad, love my kids, they're 12 and 14. Just put it out there, because if someone would like to blend families, great. And if someone is like, oh, he doesn't have time for me because he's too busy, being a single dad, right. Then great. They didn't waste your time. They didn't waste your time.
Yeah, that makes sense. Can you do me a favor and pass a message along to the women of online dating? I do not want to see your filter pictures with kitty cat ears or stars circling around. And I don't want to see group pictures. That drives me nuts. Group pictures. First of all, I feel like the detective that's got the bulletin board with pictures and strings connecting everything. Like, I'm trying to figure out which one's you in this picture and that picture. And the other problem you created is one of your friends is always going to be better looking than you. Yeah. And then it's like, oh, is the one on the end you? No, it's not. Dang it.
Ah, jeez. And what's about the feet pictures too? Why do women put pictures of their feet on these things?
I haven't seen that. I don't know what site you're on.
No, I'm serious. Like, but when they want to show they're outdoorsy, they'll show a picture of them in a kayak, but they'll be taking a picture of like going towards the kayak, but then
okay.
they've got their
I've seen
feet
some
right there.
Yeah, you're
that
right.
means
I've
they're in
seen that.
paradise, dude. I mean, they're just trying to tell you they're enjoying life, Bruce.
I don't want to see your feet. I don't want to see
Yeah.
your feet. I don't care.
Well,
how-
click to
how-
the next picture, dude.
Oh God,
Julie,
no.
what do you think hearing guys give this sort of feedback?
What do I think of guys?
No. When you hear us saying things like, don't
Oh,
show your feet.
I-
I don't want to see kitty cat ears on you. I don't need the whole wedding party. Like, do you hear these things often?
I do all the time. And I look at these profile photos and I'm coaching singles. I'm like, what's this with all of your girlfriends, your posse friends? You look like you're either a partier or some man is going to be confused. He's not going to know which person is going to show up on the date.
Yes.
So I believe that your profile should be just you, only you. Yes, it could be scenic. Don't post pictures with your kids. Don't post pictures with your friends. And for goodness sake, don't post pictures where you cut an arm off of someone that used to be your ex.
Yes. I always see that. It's like I don't know that's your ex who you put a smiley face sticker over his face or cut half his arm off. What about how honest should you be when it comes to like alcohol use, marijuana use, drug use? Like all the sites let you say or not say that kind of stuff. Should that be a mystery or put it out there?
I tend to steer away from that. I just feel like, it's interesting. Nobody knows if you say you're 420 friendly, they're like, are you a stoner? Do you smoke all day long? Do you smoke only in the afternoons? Is it just a weekend recreational thing? So I just don't put it in at all. Same thing with drinking. I get some of the sites and some of the apps say that, you drink occasionally, you drink every day. I mean, nobody wants to date an alcoholic. Nobody wants to get in a car wreck with someone driving drunk. But at the end of the day, there are people who do like to go out on dates with people who they might be able to have a drink with. But if someone doesn't drink, I mean, that's also a big, huge trend. People don't want to get sloshed on a first date. And they also don't want to go home with somebody on the first date necessarily. So people are ordering mocktails on first dates, which I think is really terrific. Go ahead and order a mocktail. And the only purpose of a first date is to decide if you like the person enough to go on a second date. That is it. It's like an interview for the next date. That's it.
Yeah.
And won't you be able to tell easier if you're sober? I mean, I always like people more when I'm drunk and then think, oh, well, what did I do? So yeah, have a mocktail. Why'd you make a face at that, Brewski?
Because if I'm going on a date and we're going to meet at a bar or something, I can have a drink. I can have 2 drinks, not get drunk, and still have all my faculties with and say, make a good decision on whether I like this person or not. Now, other people may not be able to, but I can.
Yeah, I don't think you should be getting sloshed on a first date, but
no,
it's a bit of a red flag. Like there was one woman that messaged me and her thing says sober. I'm like, eesh, like you can't have a drink at all. Like what's the history there? Or some people that say never smoke marijuana versus socially or occasionally. Like I'd rather hear someone say, I occasionally smoke. I'm like, okay, that's workable. But if you're never, then that's kind of a red flag to me because I like to do it socially every now and again. So I don't know. Should we be judging on those things, Julie?
I think people are very judgmental. I don't think that necessarily belongs in your profile because it'll come up in conversation. If you're having a chat with somebody, it may come up and you might say, oh, by the way, I'd like to get high every once in a while. It's different than somebody saying, hey, I've got to go find my dealer. And so people, when you put it in black and white, people just make up their own minds based upon the other person they were with, what they might think of you. And having a drink or two on follow-up dates is fine because you're getting to know each other. But here's the thing: women, here's another little secret: women watch men and they count how many drinks they have on a date. And being judgmental, but go, oh, he had 1 drink or he had a half a drink. And then if somebody has 3 or 4 drinks, they're counting the drinks, and then that's it.
No, that's fair.
They unmatch you and they block you.
Nick, let me ask you a question. Would it be a deal breaker for you if a woman was a hardcore conservative, Trump lover, MAGA hat wearing? Would that be an automatic deal breaker, or is that being prejudiced on your part?
It'd be a deal breaker for me. Yeah, I mean, I just don't have that much in common with somebody like that or somebody with those views. So, I mean, I can have a conversation with them and we could have dinner together, but I'm not looking to date anyone that has that different of views. No.
And what do you think about that, Julie? Is that a common thing? And is it appropriate?
Well, yes, it's common and it's appropriate. And, during the election season, people were really, really adamant about would they date across party lines? Would they date a Trump supporter? And people really put their stakes in the ground. So you'd see on the dating apps, swipe left if you voted right.
Right.
And that was an indirect way of saying, I'm left of center, or I'm
one of my profiles literally
Trumper.
says, if you love Trump, just keep on going. Like, am I okay to be that explicit?
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
Bruce,
Well,
did you have something to say?
Yeah, I think it comes down to values, because if you are looking for someone to date and possibly maybe it could go someplace, you want someone that shares the same values as you and what's important to you. And
that's a good metric.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, I agree. On that topic, we're talking with Julie Spiro with cyberdatingexpert.com. Here's a question for you, Julie. Nick and I were debating this the other night. I feel like I'm for lack of a better term, a dating racist or prejudiced. Like, I feel like I have my type and that's what I'm looking for. And if you're not in that category, for whatever it is, ethnicity, height, weight, whatever, I'm just like, nope, next. It's not what I'm looking for. I feel like if I did that in any other level of society, I'd be a terrible person. And I don't. I'm a lefty liberal. I'm very open-minded and progressive, all that. But when I get on dating sites, I'm just like, nope. Don't like the way you look. Is that uncommon? How should I address that?
It's not uncommon, especially for men. You guys, you're very visual. You know what you like, you know what you don't like. That doesn't mean you have to date the same person over and over again when they've been ended up as failed relationships. So you need to kind of jump out of your comfort circle. So for example, go to a party and let's say you're chatting with someone that probably wouldn't be your dating type, but suddenly you found them so intellectually stimulating, or you found something really funny about them, or you found things in common. Yeah. And would you say, I'm really enjoying talking to you, but I have a type, and my type is this height, this color hair, this, and you don't look like that. So I'm not going to move on to the next conversation. That's not going to happen.
No, that's a great point. But that's a real life thing where you can have that conversation and chemistry. When you're online dating, it has to start with attraction, right? I mean, there is nothing else.
There needs to be attraction, but there's something that we call the sapiosexuals, and those are people that are attracted to intellect. And maybe, again, we talked about values. When you talked about that, that's where the politics comes into play. You want to be able to watch some of the same TV shows or the same TV news shows, and you might even want to have a discussion where you have different points of views on some things, but not everything. And so you need to look at your type, and you need to just sort of, widen the scope and cast a wider net.
Nick, thoughts on that? Because I know you were telling me I got to open my eyes a little.
I think it would help. I mean, listen, you have no idea who, even with your exes, if you think about all your exes, there were things about them that they
look the same.
Well, they did look the same. Yeah. That was a little creepy, but there were things that they did that you had no interest in before you started dating them. Yeah, and when you get into the spirit of everything, like some of your stuff might change. I feel like you're just a little hard right up the front. No, yes. Just loosen up a little bit and have a little bit of a conversation. Like, I feel like you're going to know. When you start talking to somebody like Julie was saying. I think people can become more attractive to you through other things.
Here's something else I've noticed, Julie. I was at a concert last night and I saw a lot of women that I thought if I saw your picture online, I would just swipe left and be done with you. But here in real life, like, hey, you seem fun. You got a good energy about you. We're at the same concert together. Like, how do you split those two worlds where real world, you may get a different vibe, but online only, you're just going off a picture and a few stats?
Well, online is, the best version of yourself. It's like, not the day that you're hungover, not the day that, you didn't get a good night's sleep. And the reality is the only point of going online is to meet someone offline and to develop an offline relationship. So you need to sort of merge the two a little bit and say, if this is a person that I met offline that I wouldn't have met online, well, maybe I need to broaden my horizons, which is what we're all telling you. So it really comes down to, we know about looks and superficiality, but if somebody really looks hot and looks like your type, and then they open their mouth and they just say like really stupid things and you just can't connect at all, they're not so attractive anymore.
Yeah,
100%. And you've been there before too. So there's no reason it can't be the other way around. You see those people in person and you get to see their energy, even if you're not talking to them, if you're just looking at them, and you don't get to see that on a picture. But this whole online dating thing, makes you braver in a sense to be able to shut people down so fast.
Yeah.
You know,
it is like Amazon. It's easy just to swipe and look for something different or better. And that's probably not a good way to look at humans.
Yeah, probably not.
So now I need to view your browsing history, right?
Oh.
Well, I have a deal with Nick.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
If I drop dead, Nick's coming over and clearing all that. But,
Oh, clearing your computer. Okay.
oh, I joke.
I do want you to send me I do want you to send me your profile. I am so curious
really?
right now to critique it.
Okay.
And we'll do that.
So I'll tell you, I am back on Hinge because I don't want to hold it against Hinge. I'm on Bumble and I did Facebook. And you know, Facebook is nice because it's free, but it seems to be a bit of a wasteland. There's a couple of, I don't know, it's like 1 out of 100. You flip through 99 before you find one normal person on there. So any thoughts on Facebook?
You know, everybody was very nervous when Facebook came out with Facebook dating, because technically they could have been the world's largest dating site or dating app if they got it right, but they didn't, and nobody was using it. And it became, you know, kind of not really where people are going for looking for a serious relationship. They're lazy, they log on and then they don't check for a month. So I really feel that you get what you pay for. And that's why the dating apps, when you sign up for some of the little premium features, and I'm not promoting one over the other, I'm just saying that you show up more frequently in a search, you have more bells and whistles to play with, but when you get what you pay for, and Facebook is free, and there aren't a lot of people using it.
I got a really good used couch on Facebook though, so shouldn't that equal out? I mean, come on.
What is your whole thought process on eHarmony?
You know, eHarmony, I used to love eHarmony. You know, when I first got in this business, 28 years ago, eHarmony started in 2000. So they're out for 22 years now. And they really were like a matrimonial dating site because the people that were on eHarmony were just looking for marriage. And they didn't mind if somebody lived halfway across the country, they moved. And so the company has been sold. And as a result, I don't have a lot of my clients on eHarmony anymore because it's just not as user-friendly as some of the other dating apps.
That's interesting.
Okay. And also the survey on there, because I tried it years ago. Like
it's involved.
Oh my gosh, you got to sit down and have a sandwich and something to drink, and I mean, you're pot committed right there. You just to even get that survey done. You're
looking for the love of your life, dude. You're
worried
about
Nick,
you've never filled it out. It's like doing a college thesis. It's so involved. Julie, are we right or are we right?
It's like a body cavity search.
No, you have to answer 250 questions. It'll take you an hour and a half. And then the algorithms might say, I'm sorry, we don't have anybody that fits your criteria. And then you're like deflated. Like I just went through all of this to find the love of my life and they can't find me one match.
Yeah.
So,
I've had people ask me like, how has online dating treated you? And I say, well, 17 years ago, I met my wife on there on Match when it was a brand new thing. Divorced now, and then I met my fiance on Hinge, single now. So I don't know if I've had good experiences or the worst experiences. How should I judge that sort of takeaway, Julie? One wife, one fiance, now I'm single. Thank you, online dating.
Right, but right now it's the number one way that singles are meeting. So couples, the number one way that couples are connecting is through online dating and dating apps. And so they did a survey. There was a Stanford survey way before the pandemic. I think it was 2017. How did you meet your significant other? And they had like, bars, through friends, online dating. And online dating was down here like 20 years ago, and then here 10 years ago. And then in 2017, it was double the amount. This is pre-pandemic, the way people are meeting. I think it was 39% of couples met online, 20% met through friends. So for everyone out there who says, I only want to meet someone through a friend, it's not happening. Your friends aren't setting you up.
And I've noticed that with myself years ago when Jamie and I would say we met online, we felt like we were internet perverts or something. And now it's how everyone meets. It's gone from back alley to the front window. So
when I was single for a short time, I tried a service called Just for Lunch. You ever heard of it?
Yes, I have.
Just for Lunch is first of all, it was extremely expensive.
Yes.
But you would go out and meet people at more of not a speed dating type thing, but it was more of a matchmaker service. Should Steve get into anything like that to get to see people in person? I mean, I know there's those events like speed dating and everything else. Are those a positive thing to go to?
They are. I think speed dating events, I'm not saying you're going to find the one. I'm saying that you need an online and an offline strategy. And if the offline strategy means that there's a speed dating event somewhere within 45 minutes of where you live, you should sign up and go and just look at it as your entertainment for the evening. And if you meet someone, great. And if you don't, you went out, you met a variety of different people, and you had some great 3-minute conversations.
Got a little practice under your skin, got back out there.
Exactly.
Yep. No, makes sense. All right. We're talking with Julie Spira. She's with cyberdatingexpert.com. Her social media handle is at Julie Spira, and that's Spira. Julie, I really appreciate all your time. I've got one last question for you if you've got just 2 more minutes for us.
Go ahead.
All right. Nick kind of knows the backstory on this, but when I got divorced, I dated a person or two, didn't go well, and I started just racking up first dates. I figured it was a numbers game, right? I got to meet every single woman in this entire 2-hour radius and just go through them. And I went through a ton of first dates. In the first week of March 2020, I had a first date with a woman, a lawyer nearby, and it was great. It was a phenomenal first date. We both really hit it off. We kissed goodnight. We were planning on a second date, and then the world shut down. COVID kicked in. All the states, everything started shutting down. And she and I are both smart liberals, so we had said, we can't be meeting in person right now, so let's just kind of try to wait this out. And we tried texting back and forth. I tried doing some online, let's tell me your top 5 favorite albums, or let's maybe cook a meal together on camera. Or so. I was trying so hard, and the distance kept getting greater. And then I met the woman who I just broke up with, just got left by. So I told this woman, I'm really sorry, but I've met someone and I feel like I got to pursue what's, in front of me, and you and I aren't willing to break the COVID rules. So never seen or heard from her since, obviously, but I've also never forgotten about her, because she was one of the only first dates that I wanted a second date. And I was so smitten with her at the time. I obviously still have her phone number. The question is, first of all, how long do I wait? But more importantly, I don't want this woman, let's just say she's single, I don't want her to feel like she's a rebound. So do I have to go date another woman or two before I have some credibility to approach this woman? I so badly want to reach out to her, but I don't want to mess it up. Okay,
so a couple of questions. One, have you gone on any dates since your breakup?
No.
All right, well, get one out of the way. Okay.
That's good advice. Thank you.
It's a one and done date.
There's been lots of chit chats, but no, I haven't set anything up.
So
I'm just dipping my toe.
Set up a coffee or a lunch with somebody, nothing over the top, and just go and have a conversation with someone. Simultaneously, don't put all your eggs in one basket of some girl who might have a ring on her finger by now, for all we know.
Yep.
So reach out to her tonight. Reach out to her and say, because Monday night and Tuesday night, this is now the first, those are nights that people are usually home. Reach out and say, hi, I've been thinking about you for a while, and I know it's been a while. How are you? And then, how are you doing? Would love to connect. That's it. She'll know right away that you broke up. She doesn't need to know exactly when, and she doesn't need those gory details. Sure. Your goal with her is to get to a first date now that it's safer to meet in person, and then just chit chat back and forth, text. I know we tried to meet once before, but we're playing it really safe. Are you open to, getting together for lunch? Try and get a date on the calendar. Don't make it a high pressure thing. And if she says, well, gee, I thought you were in a relationship, which she will say that. And yes, but like many others, it didn't work out. End of story. So you go on the date, because I'm very confident you're going to get to go on a date with this girl unless she's engaged. And then she asks you, and she will, about your ex, and just say, oh, I never talk about an ex on the first date. That's it.
Yeah, okay.
And just change the subject, because nobody really, they think they want to know, because they don't want to be the rebound person, but they don't really want to know. They don't want to hear the gory details. It becomes too much drama. And then you go from being the hot guy to maybe not as hot anymore if she left you.
Right. Nick, I'm getting a lot of positive feedback here from Julie that I was wanting to hear. So am I just deluding myself? Are you on board? Do I set up a coffee date? Do I reach out to a lawyer?
What did Cosmos say about you?
Oh, pioneer of online dating.
Pioneer of online dating. Who am I, dude? I mean, we're talking to Julie Spira right now. So I would say, as a friend who knows your heart and your speed, get out, start talking to people, but don't fall in love too quickly. I mean, let's play the long game here a little bit. But I mean, if you want to start getting back out and talking to people again, I think it's great, dude.
Well, and you know, I got that a lot because I met Hillary 6 months or whatever after my divorce. Like, it was really quick. But as I pointed out, I went on like 30 first dates. It's not like the first woman that was interested in me, I just pounced on. I really was being discriminatory. But then when I met Hillary, and quite frankly, when I met Sandy, the attorney, like, I was like, I like them. Like, those other ones, no. Like, there is a spark with those two.
Sure.
And like I said, the first one, it just COVID screwed us over, and then I went down a different path. So, yeah.
And I don't know what the right answer for that is, dude. I mean, I think everybody loves brand new love that feels real good and exciting. And I don't know how to temper that, or if you're supposed to, but
yeah.
I'm
not going to try to fit a round peg in a square hole unless she's into that. No,
yeah.
I'm saying I'm not going to force. If anything, what I just went through, I'm going to go way too slow.
Go for
Everything's going to be a red flag.
You'll be all right.
Any thoughts on that, Julie? Like, I feel right now I'm going to look at I had a woman that said yes to being married. We bought a home together, kids together. Like, I mean, and that I couldn't believe. So how am I ever supposed to believe someone again?
Well, you will, because that was not the right person for you. And unfortunately, you had to go through this journey. And now that, you know, these COVID rules are kind of, you can go out and you can meet in person, you can meet without a mask, you can meet outdoors. I mean, it's up to you to find out what you have to make a woman feel safe. So it's up to you to find out if somebody want to go to an outdoor dining place. And if so, do it, you know, when the weather is still warm and before cuffing season, when people decide to like connect and fall in love between October 1 and Valentine's Day. And I think
it's hunting season right now. Okay.
Yeah, it's cuffing season. And I think we're going to get an early start this year. The first day of fall is September 22nd. And it's like the floodgates are going to open up, and anyone whose hearts were broken over the summer, they're going to be looking for a relationship for the holidays.
This is good insight, Nick. This is why we're talking with Julie.
Good. This is exactly why we're talking to Julie.
All right, Nick and Brewski, before we let her go, does anyone have any other questions, comments, anything?
All Brewski, do you have anything? Julie, I'd like to say you seem like a beautiful person. I see why you're so good at what you do. We thank you for your time on the program today. And maybe if we could send you Steve's profile, like you were asking, we could catch up again in the near future.
That sounds great. I'd be happy to critique it live in front of everyone.
Oh boy.
All right.
Well, that'll be fun for everyone. Won't it? All right, Julie, just remind everyone contact information for your website, however they can find you.
Find me at cyberdatingexpert.com. Follow me at Julie Spira on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere you can imagine.
All right, Julie, we appreciate your time. You've given me some good insight and things to think about. So we'll follow up. This whole show we're doing is sort of reality radio, and it's part of it is news and events, but part of it is our lives. So that's why we're talking about all this. So you can join us for that journey if you're willing and able. All right, Julie, go ahead and I don't know how to disconnect anyone on Zoom.
Oh, okay. I just click leave and I leave. So thanks, guys. This was a lot of fun.
Thanks, Julie.
Thanks, Julie.
Don't forget to send me your profile. Send me screenshots of your profile.
I'll do it. I'm
okay.
brave. All right.
All right. Bye.
All right,
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Well, all right, gentlemen, thoughts on that?
Well, let's start out with you, dude. How do you feel about that? You feel good about everything you just heard?
I mean, it goes against everything my shrink told me today, but I'm more inclined to listen to the dating expert than my personal therapist of 2 years.
What do you mean?
Does that seem right?
Are you willing to tell us what part of what your shrink told us today? What do you mean? Again, it goes against everything.
Well, I mean, I asked her the question. I said that, on the show today, we're going to be talking to a dating expert. And the big question is, how long am I supposed to be waiting? Like, when am I ready to get back out there?
Yeah.
She said, we always check in with my head and with my gut, or my head and my heart, right? The logical side or the emotional side.
Yeah.
So she said, what does your head say? I said, well, my head says that, yeah, I'm ready. I'm wasting time. I want to find my person. None of the things were my issues per se. I didn't abandon my fiance. Like, I'm ready. Logically speaking, I am ready to get out there and find my person.
Yeah. And your
I said,
heart?
okay. She said, how does the heart feel about that? I said, the heart's scared shitless and wants to run in a corner and cry. Like, I don't, I told her I was at a concert last night, and this can be a whole other story another time, but there was a friend of a friend there, and she was standing next to me talking. And on more than one occasion, she touched my arm.
Oh.
And it's an old dating rule of thumb that if a woman touches you, not sexually, just touches your shoulder, your head, like, if they break that barrier, that means they're interested in you, because a woman won't do that to a guy they're not interested in.
Absolutely.
Now, I don't know if that's actually what was going on with this person. She may have just been nice and friendly, but it put me in that situation where I'm out in public, I'm at a concert, I'm with a woman, and she just touched my arm. And I kind of freaked out in a like, don't touch me. I am not ready for this. I don't want to talk to you.
Really?
Like,
now it didn't, it wasn't because of who it was. It was just, it could have been anyone.
It was being in that situation. And I think that's why Julie's saying, go do a practice round or two, go talk to a human and get it out of your system, because it was, it didn't feel right. And, I'm out of the dating game for 2.5 years and then 17 years before that. So it was just like, no.
What do you mean? It felt like it wasn't supposed to happen? Like, almost like, oh, I'm cheating.
I felt like I wasn't ready to be back in that situation again, flirting with some strange woman, like.
Show is this like a show us on the doll where she touched you?
No, that might have been fun, but no, I just,
but I mean that kind of feeling where it was kind of like,
bit. I mean, I shut down. Like, stop touching my arm. Like, it's fine. The concert's over there. Like, and I'm in my head thinking, like, dude, like, what do you like? At least practice, Like,
see, dude, usually that's such an exciting thing is when a girl's touching you. You already know, like, oh, she must be kind of into me or want to know more. So, if you were freezing up at that, I would definitely do what Julie said and go on a couple of first dates and at least see if you still feel that same way. And then you'll know you're not quite ready, dude.
Yeah, I think so. I have this hard time with my therapist where there are some topics with the ex where she tells me, just avoid the situation. You're not ready. Don't put yourself in harm's way. And then there's other things where she's like, you got to push through that. Like, just because you two both drink the same coffee doesn't mean you can't drink that coffee anymore. Like, you'll get over it, push through it. So I'm having the struggle of what do you avoid for now versus what do you just push through?
Yeah.
And the issues I'm going to have with the next woman, they're going to be there waiting when if it's tomorrow, if it's next year, like my trust issues and all that stuff. So I feel like if those are the reasons I'm not dating, like, that's silly. Like, I got to address those at some point. So I might as well go find someone and practice trial by fire. I don't know.
All that stuff has been an additive to your life through events and relationships. There's no reason. I mean, obviously it's going to remind you of that person for a while, but there's plenty of things that I have that were Nick and Heather things that are now Nick and Rachel things, that have evolved into different things, but I didn't throw everything out, for sure. I don't think you should have to throw everything you enjoy out because of that old person,
Yeah, no, for sure. And I know time is needed and it hasn't been that much time yet, but part of me feels like some of this shit is not going away no matter how much time you let sit.
Listen, when Heather and I broke up, it wasn't a long time. I didn't wait a ton of time before Rachel and I started dating. And I only went out on a few dates with different girls before I went out on a date with Rachel. And we ended up, moving in together right away. I mean, we moved in together before we were officially dating. So it was
what? You moved in together before you were officially dating. How did that happen?
Well,
this was in the brief window of our lives where I had left Seattle and I was in Tahoe. So I was a little disconnected for some of that window for you.
Was that Madison? Was that Madison Park?
Yeah, that was Madison Park. So Rachel had moved from California to Seattle because her dad was sick. And she was trying to start her life up. She had a great job in California, but had to come home because her dad was sick. So she had to get a whole new job. And she had moved up here and was living with her parents for the first month and a half or so that she got here. And I had called her up and asked her out on a date. We went out on a date and we kept going out on a few dates, but we hadn't even kissed yet. I mean, I feel like I was feeling something more than friendship. And I don't know if she was quite there yet. And at some point she said, you know, like, oh, and I was just out of a relationship. I was living with my sister because I had broken up with Heather and moved out of the house that we just bought. So she was like, you know, we both need a place to stay. You know, we should just go grab a 2-bedroom place and, you know, move in together. And I knew
that's flirting right there.
Oh, 100%, dude. I mean, I knew like once that was in, and I was like, gosh, that doesn't sound like a great decision, but it sounds like a fun decision. Right. And I'll never forget, she told me, take a leap of faith, see what happens. And I listened to that. I went home. She's like, I was like, she said, take a leap. And I think I should do it because I had always played things so safe in my life. Right. So I took the leap and, you know, here we are.
See, I don't know if you're
the opposite.
Right.
Yeah.
So is that a good role model or a bad role model? I don't know. Like you took the leap of faith and it worked out. I took the leap of faith and got bent over and screwed upside down. So I don't know which is the right logic anymore.
Here's the thing, dude. I think you have to manage your leap of faith because I was a young man. You have children now. You have you own a business. I mean, your leap of faith looks different than it did at 23 or 30 even, you know?
Yeah. No, that's all fair.
And I think Steve, your situation, the recent one, that's an extreme example. I think most people aren't going to have that same sort of
I hope not. I wouldn't do it to my worst fucking enemy, so I hope not.
But what I'm saying is that you take that leap, and it can't be that bad.
Yeah,
there's no way it could get worse, right?
Yeah, I had a vasectomy, so it can't get any worse, right?
You jumped right into that bad boy too, dude.
I should have asked her that. Should that be on my profile? Because women love that, man. Let me tell you,
they do. They absolutely do.
What are you guys talking about?
Oh, it's a big deal.
Oh,
dude.
yeah.
When you're people at our age don't want to have to wear condoms, but they also obviously don't want to get pregnant. So to hear that you're a competent 46-year-old business owner and a responsible father and I cannot get pregnant, like that's
bonus.
Dude. Yeah. Oh, Hillary threw me a party when I went out and got snipped. I mean, she was so excited.
I don't think it's something that should be on your profile, though. Dude.
Well, maybe not, but it's got to come up on the first date. I'll take a Bud Light. And by the way, waiter, I got snipped. Just so you know.
I'm shooting blanks.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
No, that's an interesting thing. All right, so let's talk about the downside of internet dating real quick here because I have an update for you guys. I mentioned on I don't remember if it's episode 1 or 2, however we split the first podcast up, but I mentioned that when I'm single, I have an inclination of reaching out to exes. Because I feel like when you're in a relationship, messaging an ex is wildly inappropriate. Even going to their Facebook page and looking I think any of that is totally inappropriate. But when you're single, I always have this fascination of like, well, how are you now? What's going on? And I will tell you, hand on a Bible, which I don't believe in, but whatever. I have never hit on or asked out an ex. It's always just been, how are you doing? Tell me how your life is, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, there's always a part of me that hopes they're going to reply and go like, hey, you know, that one issue, I've been in a lot of therapy and it's fixed. And now we can have I'm always hoping maybe that it hasn't happened yet. No. So I told Nick, and I mentioned on the previous podcast as well, when I first got divorced, I started dating a woman for like 3 months and it was hot and heavy. And then she turned out to be kind of fucking crazy. So she was my crazy rebound out of the marriage, right? So
no.
So I keep stumbling on her on these dating apps, as I've mentioned to you, Nick. And so I thought, what is the harm of just sending a, hey, see you're on here, having trouble with love too. Just wanted to say hi. I hope you and the kids are doing good. You know, good. Best of luck to you. She replied.
Oh boy.
She's been stalking me for the last 2.5 years.
Oh boy.
She knew when I started. She knew Hillary by name. She mentioned her by name to me. She knew when we started dating. She knew we were engaged, and she knew we were broke up. All of those events span a 2.5 year window.
Dude, that's freaky.
She's been stalking me one way or the other. Now, Go ahead.
That's Statue of Liberty right there. She's holding that harness torch high in the sky.
Yeah, but not in a good way. And by the way, her thing was not like, I know all this shit about you because I've been stalking you, and why don't we go get a cup of coffee? She used it as a weapon to tell me to go fuck myself. But yeah, mentioned all this shit that she only could have known.
Hold on, dude.
By stalking me one way or the other. Probably Facebook.
Pull your phone out, dude. Pull your phone out.
Well, you want to see it?
I want to hear it.
Well, so here's the funny thing. And by the way, just so the audience knows, like I do a radio show in this town and I do mention this sorts of stuff. I've talked about Hillary on the radio and I've talked about being engaged. So I don't know if she got this stuff from stalking my Facebook profile or if she was listening on the radio. But if she ever finds this podcast, this will be her wet dream come true. I mean, stalking made easy. I'm just sitting here blabbling about my entire life. So, she may be our number one fan very soon. So, so anyway, so she sends this reply and I'll read it. It's kind of difficult because she's taking swipes at me. So I kind of feel like some of this I need to push back on, but
you don't have to.
Well, I feel like I need to. We're addressing it publicly now. So, but here's the thing. I got this reply to her and I read it and I was like, holy shit, this woman's been fucking stalking me. And I let several hours go by as I'm debating, like, do I just not reply? Do I just reply with like a, gee, thanks, best of luck to you? Or do I tell her like, stop fucking stalking me? And
you crazy cunt.
Yeah. Like, do I tell her off basically? And so the first thing I did though, is I realized she must be getting most of this from my Facebook page because my relationship status and some of my profile pictures were Hillary and I, and she would have been tagged in them so she could see, because your profile picture is public.
Right.
So I went on Facebook and I blocked this woman. And 5 minutes later, I went back onto Hinge to reply to her and the message was gone. She had blocked me.
Oh.
So I don't know if she figured out that quickly that I blocked her on Facebook and was like, the jig is up, like I'm just going to run away, or if she had second thoughts of like, I just sounded like a psychopath. Like, I have no idea. But the whole thing was gone. But very wisely, I took a screenshot of it when I first saw it, because my first thought was, this may come up in a court date someday.
Like, oh my gosh.
Because you're flat out fucking stalking me, lady. So anyway, so I sent her the brief note and, just saying hi, just hope you and the kids are doing well. And I ended it with good luck out there and a thumbs up emoji. So she replies, I hope that you and the kids are well. I did notice that you were engaged and so quick that you're on here, meaning the dating app.
Sure.
It's kind of like how we broke up and then you were instantly in love with someone else 6 months later, by the way. Looking back, I think that it's concerning with the love bombing and how quickly everything happened for us. Then you and Hillary, there's her mentioning her by name.
Right.
I personally think that because I grew up with a narcissist father, I gravitated to get what was familiar in my romantic relationships. I think she's calling me a narcissist.
Yes, I think so.
I would say so.
Before rushing into something else, Steve, maybe examine how quickly you move on, what your romantic quote unquote love really is based on. Just my 2 cents. Good luck. So again, she references how quickly, quote unquote, Hillary and I started dating. So she knows, which was 6 months after I broke up with her, but whatever. So she references the start of the relationship. She references the engagement and she references seeing that it was over. So you can only gain that information by stalking somebody. And, her assertion that I move on too quickly. I mean, that's everything we've spent the show talking about. Go fuck yourself. You don't know the whole story. You don't know that I was betrayed. I find nothing wrong with, falling head over heel in love with somebody that I had met months later and committing. Like, fuck you on all of that stuff.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And everybody's different. Everybody has different timelines as far as when they're ready to move on.
Exactly. But this is her sitting back trying to cast aspersions and judge and call me a narcissist. And yes, referencing that she has followed my last 2.5 years of my life.
What was your goal, dude? What was your goal?
My goal was, as previously stated, was to just say, hey, how's life been treating you? I used to know you.
Do you not remember how it ended?
I do, but then I hoped, like I said, maybe she would be like, hey, I've been in daily therapy for 2.5 years. Everything is fixed.
No. Are you saying
possible?
Are you saying you weren't reaching out to her to try and see if you could get together for a knobber?
That's my
question.
You.
What I want to know, were you hoping that maybe she'd be like, oh, we should talk, a lot's happened, and maybe you'd get a little lay in?
Speak it to the microphone,
My honest answer is I was checking in, but of course I was hoping that she would say all of my problems have been cured. So now we could go bang away. And then I'm like, well, okay, hey, you've been in therapy. I believe in therapy. Like if you've been working on yourself, then hey, maybe. But no, I wasn't really expecting that. And yes, I'm going through the classic problem right now of every time I get all horny, I'm like, I'll bang anything with 2 legs. I'll bang anything. I don't even need 2 legs. I'll bang anything.
And then ambulatory says yes.
Yeah, and then you expunge your system and you come back to reality and you're like, hell no, I don't want just some random hookup thing. Like, so like I've been wavering on that with everyone on internet dating, which I have not done as of now. But so yeah, I'm being honest. Like, sure, maybe there was part of me hoping she'd say I'm cured. And I could say, hey, you really were good in bed and you really were. We did have some fun times. Like, if you're not crazy anymore, maybe this could work out.
That's the reason why
things, right?
That's the reason why she was good in bed. Because the crazy ones always are.
Dude,
the crazy ones always are.
Why? Why is that? Why are the crazy ones so good in bed? Hillary was the best sex I've ever had. So what does that tell you on the crazy scale, right?
Well, it just because you can do anything you want to them and they won't say no.
That's what I'm saying. They don't have any respect for themselves.
But it's even more than that. Like she wasn't just doing anything. I mean, she was producing the porn. Like she was a willing and able participant. And yes, the sex was so good. And I just kept ignoring. I think it's a large part of why I was ignoring some of the bad. But why is that? Why can't a healthy, well-adjusted woman also bang like a porn star? Is that too much to ask?
It's not.
Why?
It's always that way. The crazy ones are always, because the crazy ones are also always the ones that are most fun to go and do shit with. Not just sex, but just have fun and go do things with, go to Vegas with, or even just go and have like lunch on, because you can have fun with them because they're free.
My God, why did you do this?
Listen, dude, listen to both of you right now, okay? Because you're talking about Brewski's like, oh, the crazy ones, go to Vegas, have a great time. This is a small percentage of your life that you are wanting to have it be the greatest crazy time ever. But all the other parts that you're talking about, the loneliness, the daily having coffee in the morning, the
raising
mundane,
kids together. Yes. Real life.
Yeah, the mundane things that happen are the things that I know that you're telling me that you're super missing, right?
So then if I meet a new woman, we have great sex, I should dump her.
No, dude.
Well, she's crazy then if we're having great sex, right?
Listen, you can have great sex. And like I told you earlier when we were having this conversation, because I agree with you that most crazy girls are going to be better in bed, but that does not mean that you can't meet someone and have good sex, fine sex that you're enjoying and everything else that you're not like, yeah, it's a fucking best, that it's not going to get better as you guys have a little chemistry with each other and find out what each other likes and doesn't like.
I will tell you what I'm looking for.
I just want bang, bang, bang. I don't want a relationship. I just want bang, bang, bang. I don't want to know your name. I just want bang, bang, bang.
Go easy.
Go easy.
It's really not true is my point. Yeah. I think I maybe even told the story already on this show, but yeah, I had one true like one night stand and I went home and showered for like 2 days. Like I just felt terrible about
that
it.
Movie scene of harness on the shower floor.
Yes. Unclean.
I used so after Jen and I broke up, I lived in Laney's house for about a month, and then I moved in with my buddies Jimmy and Joey Houlihan. And this is complete bachelor house, like metal dudes, like big drinkers and party guys, and that sort of thing. And I went fucking wild. Like I mean, first 2 weeks, I literally had dates like almost every night of the week. And most of them were ended up back in my place.
Nice.
Tinder?
Yeah. No. This is before, this is even before Tinder. Really, I didn't get on Tinder. This was just
Craigslist.
Yes. But that's where I met Jen. That's where I met Jen.
Really? Wow. Jeez.
Yeah. And
but how'd that turn out? I don't know.
Well, but here's the thing though. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'll tell you what, she has a hell of a right hook, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, right.
No, I'm serious.
No, I know you're serious, and that's a part of my story I'm not even ready to get into yet. But that was another red flag I probably should have picked up on when I got punched in the chest.
Oh no, anyway. I got punched in the mouth a few times, and I was told that I couldn't do anything because.
Well, in fairness, I think she was too drunk to hit my face, so it just sort of ended up like here. But you know.
Well, so Jen's stepbrother is a cop in Lakewood. We were living in Tacoma at the time.
Yeah.
And she made it very clear that if I tried to do anything to defend myself, that he would be there and it would get very ugly.
No, I get it. Well, dating's fun. Nick, take care of your relationship.
It's awful, dude. It's
Please
awful
don't join me.
You guys are going through. I mean, but on the other side of that coin, you can have some fun with this, dude. I mean, you can have some fun. Brewski seems to be having a lot of fun on the dating app.
No, not right now. I'm not.
What can we talk? Can I talk about a little bit about your conversation that we had off air last week, or would you rather I not?
Oh no, yeah, go right ahead, please. That's fine. I almost asked Lisa about that.
Yeah, I was going to ask her too, and we were just getting short on time.
Julie, I'm sorry, Julie.
Julie, yeah. So Brewski took his sister to Vegas, and they went out and hung out and had a good time. And Brewski was at a bar. Talking to two women that I think were sisters. Is that right? Yeah, they were sisters. One of them was married, and her husband was coming back to pick them up later, but the other sister was not. And Brewski felt some sort of vibe with this lady, was just having like great conversation and everything else. And it ended up leaving, and he didn't ask for her information or anything like that. And it just was like, great to talk to you. Bye. See you later. So Brewski calls me and says, hey, I just want to get your opinion on this. Like, is it creepy? She mentioned in conversation that she works at a insurance firm, and I was able to find it online because she didn't have social media. Is it creepy if I send her a little note, like a handwritten card, and just say, hey, enjoyed the conversation. Here's my info. If you ever want to meet up again or whatever, let me know. Yeah. And I thought if it was done properly, that it was, I don't think it's creepy. I mean, it's hard to meet people when you're our age. You know what I mean?
Listen, here's the problem with romantic gestures I've realized over the course of my life. And I'm talking going back to elementary school. I could tell you a terrible story. I gave a girl on the 5th grade playground like a necklace that I took from my mom's like jewelry thing, and like wrote this sweet note. It was like, here's a gift. I think you're cute. And this girl ran around the playground. Look at what Steve Harness gave. Everyone was laughing and mocking me. Oh, it was terrible. But even in my adult life, I've realized there's a fine line in a woman's mind between a romantic gesture and you're a creep. And sending somebody a package or something or a note, that can go either way. They're either going to go, wow, what a sweet romantic guy, or holy shit, I have a stalker. And that sucks, women, that you put us nice guys in that position.
It does.
Trying to do what Hollywood has taught us, a grand romantic gesture and be sweet. And then you're like, you're fucking creepy, man. Don't send me a note.
But I would have to think that after the conversation I had with Brewski, it was a situation where you're at a situation where like you left and then you're thinking through the whole conversation and everything else. And you thought, oh, I really had a good conversation. Like, what if I miss out on somebody that, I could have had something great with? So
what'd you do?
So what I did was I went and I bought these really kind of, those thick Crane and Company like thank you cards.
Nice blank cards inside or whatever.
But they're the ones that you would send out for like thanking somebody for a wedding gift or something like that.
Sure.
Sure.
So I bought these fancy, note cards, and I just wrote a little note, and I just said, hey, I had a great time at the Sand Dollar, chatting it up with you for a little bit. I was kicking myself for not asking for your information. I'd like to get to know you further.
What's your social security number?
No, I said on the reverse of this card, you'll find my contact info. If you'd like to get to know each other, reach out to me sometime.
Seems nice and noble to me.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought if he just played it like that, like, if she's not interested, she won't write back. If she is interested, then she'll write. So
did the cops knock on your door, or did you get a reply? Like, how do we have any update?
Yeah. When did you send it?
I sent it, I think, on the 1st or 2nd.
All right,
So it should probably be getting to Vegas, around this time, and it's going to the PO box to where they get their mail for the office and that sort of thing. So
all right, I look
kind of
forward
see
to
what
an
happens.
update on that. Nice.
Yeah, I'll be interested in it too. I hope it works out, dude. I mean, that's
we'll see.
It's a grand gesture.
I don't know how we became a predominantly single show all of a sudden, but Nick, you're the stable, well-established member now.
I'll carry the torch for you, dude. I'm telling you. Rachel always tells me that I am the Lloyd Dobler of her Diane Court, and I'm not afraid to hold the boombox up to get her. Like I'm not gonna say, or I will say, don't stop with the romantic gestures. Just you got to make sure they're not creepy.
What is that? Say Anything? Is that the name of the movie?
Yes.
Can I tell you something that's really going to make you hate Hillary? I told Nick a lot of stories when we were hanging out for a week, alone in hotel rooms about terrible, terrible things Hillary said to me. That, she dreaded the day my parents died. I was like, oh, why do you dread that? I dread that too. She's like, because you're going to be a wreck and I'm going to have to deal with you. Like she said some really
lovely.
Right, terrible things.
Wow.
She said some messed up things about my kids. We watched Say Anything. She hated it.
Of course.
Wow. I mean, come on, dude. That's
how unromantic do you have to be to hate Say Anything?
It's a deal breaker. I mean, that's just saying you don't.
Red flag. She loves Singles for what that's worth. That's a great dating movie. But yeah, she did not like Say Anything.
And actually, both movies written by the same person.
Yeah.
Cameron
exactly.
Crowe.
Yeah, exactly. So tragedies. Either Nick is pantomiming or his video has frozen. Can you see that?
I can, and I believe he's
there
he is. He's back.
There we are. All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're back.
We were just gossiping about you. Sorry. Never mind.
Yeah. But yeah, that's terrible that she hated Say Anything. I don't understand it. That is oof.
Isn't it interesting though to hear that dating coach say like, you dodged a bullet? That's what everyone keeps saying to me. And I know it's true. And also hear her say like normal people don't do that.
Yes, and it's what you've been saying all along and hoping that people will agree with. And I mean, everyone you've said it to is like, no, dude, people don't do that. You're right.
I think she called Hillary a dick, didn't she?
She did.
She did.
She said if you did what she did, we'd be calling you a dick. So I'm pretty sure inadvertently.
Yes. So. Yeah. See you next Tuesday.
Yeah.
Yes.
Ooh.
Bad situation, my friend.
So there's the update on the world of dating and everything that's happened to the vocal minority in a mere 6-week hiatus.
Where do we go from here? I mean, do we call the lawyer? Are you going to call the lawyer? I mean, she said you should reach out to the lawyer tonight is what she said.
I'll tell you guys, I had convinced myself to text her that it would be an acceptable scenario to text her during this fine program just to see what happens. But now that that's a reality, I don't know. I didn't think the dating coach would say reach out to her immediately. And she also said, don't ask her if she's single, like it's implied. Like my second question was going to be, is there any chance that you're single right now? And we could have that second date finally.
Okay. So now I've got an experience about this too.
Yeah.
And this is about an ex. So I have this ex who lives in Vegas. Her name is Connie. I dated her when I lived in Seattle. And so I'm talking to Connie and, just kind of catching up, how you doing and that sort of thing. And I know she was married and that sort of thing, but I'm just saying hi, seeing how she's doing and that sort of thing, right?
You and Steve, yeah. You and Steve both. Just
what well-adjusted redheads do, okay?
So anyway, so then all of a sudden one day she says, oh, I need a hug. And I'm like, well, what's going on? And she's like, guy trouble. And I'm like, well, you want to talk about it? And then she was just like, not right now. And then she says to me, when are you coming to Las Vegas? And I told her when I was coming to Las Vegas. And then she said, maybe we can get together, have a drink, and we can talk about it. Okay, no problem whatsoever. So then in between that and I changed my trip. So I extended my trip to stay longer after my sister was going to leave so that I could get together with her because she has 2 kids and they're teenagers. And so I kind of figured end of the week would be a good time for her to be able to get out and that sort of thing. Middle of the week, it's school stuff and all that sort of thing, right?
Go ahead. Yes.
So then I sent her this message when I'm in between the time of her setting up this potential date and me coming to Vegas, I send her this message one night, and then she sends me a message back saying, Jason, what are you doing? You can't send me messages. I'm like, what's the problem? I'm a married woman. And I said, well, I thought, you said that, because in between she had told me that her husband had said he wanted to get a divorce and all that sort of thing, right?
Yeah.
And so then she's like, well, no, we're working it out. We're working things out right now. And I can't talk to you anymore. And I'm thinking to myself, but she completely flipped out on me. And
well, either one of two things happened. Either like she's bipolar or something, or her husband figured out, that she'd been messaging and she had to play like, what? No, but that's not what I was doing.
No,
but that's most definitely.
But he wasn't even living in the house with her anymore at that time.
Well, so what do you think? She's schizo or what?
No, I just think that,
because that's two different answers.
No, I think.
Are you saying it's not to try and work it out with her husband, and in a weak moment thought maybe I'll go have a drink with Brewski, and it wasn't up for a week later, I'm sure.
But as far as I'm concerned, because that's my concern in life, because I'm a narcissist. Are you saying that you do have to be upfront and ask, like, are you single? Like, it's not implied. Is that your point?
No, I mean, I would still go with them. If they respond and they want to talk to you, I would assume that they're single. I did with Connie that she was going to be okay with getting together with me and that sort of thing. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, she's like completely flipping out on me. I'm like, wait a minute here.
Yeah,
listen, any girl worth their salt will talk to you as a friendly person. And when you say, hey, you want to go grab a cup of coffee, you want to go out for lunch or something like that, we'll say, I actually can't do that. I'm in a relationship right now.
Here's the thing, as we just talked with Julie about, if I texted the lawyer, and I hate that we're calling her that, it's kind of, I got issues in this world. So but anyways, as we're talking about texting the lawyer, what if she writes back and is like, hi, Steve, like, oh my gosh, let's go get coffee tomorrow or this weekend. I'm not ready. So I don't want to screw this up. So Julie's advice was go get a practice date or two under your belt. And then she contradicted herself. She told me to go get some practice, but also text the lawyer tonight.
Well, just because you text her doesn't mean you have to go out right away.
No, but what if she says, I'm free this weekend? Why don't we grab some coffee?
Well, but
throw caution in the wind, or say like, "Eesh, actually, I need a few more weeks. I just was engaged 6 weeks ago, so maybe."
Well, but I think what you can't
take a leap of faith, dude.
I think what you can do is set a boundary in your head that says okay. Let's just say this woman's name is Mary. Mary wants to go get a coffee this weekend. Well, you know what? All we're doing is we're sitting down for an hour and getting a coffee.
Yeah, because that's me.
No, but you got.
Here's the thing: if it's the same woman from 2.5 years ago, I'm all in. Like it was amazing. It was a great first date. I want to pursue that. That's why it's such a big thing now, because she was the only worst person I wanted the second date with.
But are you romanticizing that date? I mean, are you romanticizing it? It was really that good of a date.
You remember back when it happened?
I know. I would. But when you got together with Hillary, did you ever question in your head, like,
Yes. I questioned I have questioned many times in the last 2.5 years. Every almost fight we would get into, I would think, did I screw up? Should I have waited out COVID for that lawyer? I told you the story a couple of months ago. The topic of my speed dating came up with Hillary, and she was always so impressed by that I went out there and crunched the numbers and just banged through, dates. And I brought up to her, like, there was just only one other, this lawyer from Reno, we had a great first date, and then COVID, we never saw each other again. And she looked at me and she said, how do you know she wasn't the one? And I said, well, I wouldn't be here with you if that was the case.
Yes.
Well, I'm not here with her anymore. And I don't think I'm romanticizing it, because at the time I had been through so many first dates that I saw something in her that was awesome. We had a great first date, great kiss goodbye, want the second date, good looking, professional woman. Like, she was everything I was looking for. Now, of course, first dates are in a haze, and, of course things can obviously go bad after that. But no, I don't think I'm overly romanticizing it. I think she's a winner, and she's sitting an hour away from me, and I have no idea if she's single or not. And I don't want to screw it up, because it's hard to find second date material.
Well, but you know what though, if it truly is worth that, and say you go and meet her for a coffee, that boundary won't feel like you want to go beyond it, because you want to say to yourself, you're going to say to yourself, I'm going to respect that boundary that I've set up, because I don't want this to go sideways, because I want this to work this time.
But I wanted to go forward too. So what if?
But exactly. But you can go forward another time. It's that slow build.
Yeah. Well, I don't think there's anything wrong with telling her, like, look, I'm really interested in you. I want to take it slow. I want to do it right. You know.
I know it's just a gamble though. If I sat down with a woman who I was really into and she's like, hey, listen, I was just engaged like 2 months ago, so I need to take this slowly. I'd be pissed, put off, irritated. You know, I mean.
I don't think you have to tell her anything about the engagement. Like
that's
she was saying, you know, like, hey, you know what? I just want, you know what? I really like you and I want this to go well. So let's take it slow and do it right. Like I really like you.
There's the gamble of time too, because what if she's single right now, but she's out dating? What if I wait a month and now she's gone on a first date and now she's pursuing someone? Or what if it's the opposite? What if she's been dating someone for 2 years and it's starting to fall apart and I need to give it another month or two? Like, this whole wasting time thing is so unknowable and it's driving me nuts because there's no way to know.
Because you're the classic overthinker, dude. Yeah. You're the classic overthinker. I mean, you cannot think like that, dude. You just got to do what you feel. And you've got, you know, like your therapist is saying, you got to use the head and the heart, you know.
Exactly. That's the problem.
But you can't plot stuff out. You cannot. There's no win to that, to plotting it out. Listen.
So what's the answer? Do I text her today? Do I wait a week? Do I wait a month? What do I
ask yourself this question? If you text her tonight and she writes back and she was like, oh, Steve, so good to hear from you. I'm in a, you know, I'm engaged and things are going well. Nice to hear from you. Are you going to be fucking crushed to the door about it?
Not crushed. I'll be bummed, but that will also paint my path forward.
So
I feel like if I don't have a viable second date type material ready to go, then I'm just going to go date away again. I'm not talking banging away and all that, but like, I just got to keep an open mind and just go out there and see what the hell the universe has. Yeah. But if I know there's a valid second date material waiting for me, no, I'm going after that. I don't need all these coffee dates and shit.
If you don't
it'd be a bummer, but you know,
if you don't text her, she's just stunting your growth.
Kind of. Yes.
So text her.
Do it.
And if she says I'm engaged, say I'm so happy for you and move on.
You slut.
if she says she's not, dude, then you got to just play it cool and just say, hey, well, you know what? We'll go out and tell her I like you, dude, but I want to take this. I want to. You don't even have to say I want to take it slow. I want to do this right. Yeah. Let's be smart about it. I really like you. You know.
I hear you.
You know what you can do? Put the blame on COVID too. I want to pick up where COVID robbed us.
Oh no, I definitely would. I almost feel like, oh boy, I can hear my therapist yelling at me right now. I romanticize things. I can see this as a Tom Hanks, Meg Ryan sort of movie. Like, we met before COVID and the Great Divide kept us apart, and then years later we were together again. Like, that's a good story. I can do that, right?
Yeah, you can, dude. But something else might happen too. So don't count on it.
Right. I hear you. Women are crazy. Dr. Gottman's calling back in.
Steve, I promise you, and this comes from years of experience, women are never right.
Well,
you should have written that in your book, dude.
Right?
Yeah.
He actually did, one of the main chapters, and that was one Hillary did not want to hear about. There's this whole thing in the book called harsh startups. Basically, when there's a problem, you know, how do you come at your partner? Is it, hey, you know, we really need to be better about taking the garbage out? Or is it, hey, why the fuck aren't you taking the garbage out again, right? That's what we call a harsh startup, and we want to do a gentle startup. And he says, research shows that 90% of the time it's the woman that does the harsh startup. Yeah, now, that doesn't mean the guys are guilt-free and we don't reciprocate, blah, blah, blah. There's ways to do this. Sure. You know, it's in the book, people. But yeah, like, I tried to tell Hillary what I have told Hillary a million times, like, 9 out of 10 fights you start, and then I finish them by you know, we start escalating, we're yelling, we're screaming. But I said, you got to come at me a little softer. And she would always tell me, like, you're crazy. That is not the fact. And then we read this book. I'm like, it's literally in chapter 5 that 90% of the time the woman is the one who has the harsh startup. So I'm just saying,
The chapter you did not get to.
Right. Exactly. All right, gentlemen, here's the deal. We're 2.5 hours into this. We certainly could wrap it up now, but I kind of feel like we should do a little news, even if it's just a practice. I mean, if anyone's still listening 2.5 hours in, they must be intrigued. So
Sure.
I feel like there's no harm in burning 20 minutes and running through news, or we can just stop now and start the 4th episode with a more structured format, because that's what we're trying to do on the show. It's some of our personal life, but it's also news and events and all that. So
yeah, I'm fine with that, dude.
Doing some news.
Yeah, I do have to. I do have to pee, pretty darn bad.
Okay. Well, how quick can you do that? DJs pee quickly.
Yeah, I could.
I know you can do it in less than 3.5 minutes, because that's the average length of a song, and every DJ can pee in less than that amount of time.
I can be done in less than a minute. So,
all right, why don't you go pee? Brewski and I will discuss singlehood.
Okay.
Now, let me do this. Nick already understands the concept of what we're going to do here, so let me explain it to you so that I can explain it to the audience at the same time. And I'm trying to come up with a clever, name for this topic, or a segment. I have
Headline Hot
noticed.
Stack?
Maybe we'll put it on the list. We'll kick it around. Here's the deal. I've noticed, not only in life in general, but as I've been doing some of this online dating, there are so many people that just choose not to be involved in the news cycle.
Mm-hmm.
They're overwhelmed by it, or I've seen several women say, I'm not political. And I can't wrap my head around that, because
I can't either.
Politics invades every aspect of our lives, whether you want it to or not.
Yeah.
And I feel like if people were a little more informed on the news, they may be a little less non-political, or I don't pick sides or any of that stuff. So there's just a lot of people that don't read the news. So I thought we would do, basically, is this news you need? We can run through some articles, and whoever's reading the article, the other two are going to vote on it. Is that news you need to know, or is that wasted? In other words, is this news that people watching this or listening to this should take note of, because we have decided that this is newsworthy? Or half the news is not newsworthy, quite frankly, and you don't need to know it. Know what I mean? Concept makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I know what you mean.
So, yeah, I took our time apart from you there, Nick, to just explain the whole part of it, the online dating, just people that aren't into the news or say they're not political. And I can't understand that, because politics invades your life at this point. So
I could hear you the whole time. And this is what I want to say, dude. I'm going to further expand on that, is that I've got a good experiment that I'm going to try and do. As you know, I'm getting ready to drive across half the country with my brother.
Yeah.
My brother he's an odd conservative, and I don't hate conservatives. I hate Trumpers, right? I don't care for Trumpers. Okay. Yeah. I'm just going to say it. I don't have a lot in common with them.
Listen, it's the old, not all Republicans are racist, but all racists are Republicans.
Yes. Yeah,
so there are some Republicans that aren't racist and you could like, but all racists are Republicans. So yeah, I get it.
And you know what? I'll just be completely transparent. When I'm voting on the local ballots, I throw a Republican in every once in a while. Like, I'm not afraid to cross a party line here and there. So I don't hate all Republicans. A Republican
you know about, right? You're not just randomly.
100%.
Yeah. I can agree with that. Sure.
So my brother is a conservative Republican and one of my greatest friends in this world. Well, when Trump started moving in, I really started to learn his political leanings and what he was okay with accepting based on a president. Because I was like, I get you're conservative, but like, you wouldn't vote for him because because this happens. Like, you wouldn't put up with that. I was like, yeah, I think I would. And it really sort of fractured areas of our relationship.
Yeah.
So, but I know his heart. So it's a lot easier for me to move past some of this.
Yeah.
So we're getting ready to be in a truck, and we're driving from Seattle to Denver. And I know that there's going to be a lot of conversation about politics. We always do. We always have fairly respectful conversations about politics. And for the most part, we're polar opposites on most things. Half of this is, as I have told him, is that I think he is completely indoctrinated by Fox News.
Yes,
absolutely.
That's a topic we're going to talk about because Fox News is straight up propaganda. No one seems to get that. And it is what has caused this rift to go so wide.
100%. I mean, if not 100, 99%.
Yes.
So he watches Fox News, and I always talk to him. I've told him over the years, I said, you know what? I would be interested to have a conversation with you because we talk multiple times a week. I would be interested not to have a conversation with you for 1 month of you not watching Fox News. And I would love to see what a different person that you were and the things that you were still worried about and not worried about any longer.
Yeah.
So I had this idea of that I think on this trip, because I know there's going to be a lot of political talk and we're going to be trapped in a fucking, truck with a bench seat together driving all this distance, that I'm going to challenge him to watch MSNBC for 2 months. That's the only thing he can watch. And I, in turn, will watch Fox News for 2 months.
Harsh.
And I would like to have.
I've tried before, by the way. I can't.
You know what?
But kudos to you for proposing this experiment. I'll be curious if he'll take it.
Yeah, I will too. And I, you know what? I've even told him this. MSNBC is what, for cable news, is what I watch. For the most part. Yep. So I know he never does, and just to not so much anymore, not so much in the last since Biden's been president, but before that, I would tune to Fox once a week just to see what the fuck they were talking about and see what almost know your enemies, is the way I kind of felt about it. Yeah. So it'll just be really interesting to see if he takes the challenge, what kind of issues he backs off on. There's so many scare tactics and weird things happening on Fox News that I hear my brother talking about. I'm like, where the fuck why would you think that's a problem? Like, you honestly think that's a problem that wasn't made up for you to get outraged about?
Right.
Well, 2 weeks ago, we were talking about all the distribution issues in our country and stuff like that. And he's talking to me. I felt like I was talking to my father. He was like, Nick, have you been to the grocery store lately? And I was like, yeah. I mean, shit's not like it used to be completely, and prices are for sure up. Nick, I don't think you're getting it. Eggs have gone up 8 times their price.
No, they haven't.
Yeah, I was like, what are you talking about? He was like, I just saw it. Eggs have gone up 8 times, and I've bought it. I eat eggs every day. I know that they've gone up 8 times.
He just saw it at the grocery store, or he's just saw it on Fox News?
I think he saw it on Fox News and then was trying to somehow parallel it into his life.
So you paid $16 for a dozen of eggs.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I said. I was like, I pay, you know what? Me as a lefty liberal, I buy cage-free, range-free, so I pay a little more for my eggs,
As do I.
They
taste better, by the way.
Yes. They have a nice yolk to them. $6 or whatever I'm going to pay, even sometimes more.
I agree.
But $48 you're telling me you pay for eggs now? I was like, that's crazy. That's not true, and yet you're still sitting here arguing with me that eggs have not gone up 8 times. So it'll be interesting to see.
I recall seeing some researcher did that with a group of people. He got them to stop watching their normal source, and it was the Fox News viewers had a different perspective on things, and the CNN or whatever others basically were vomiting for a month and held true to their beliefs. Well, and not even beliefs, because that's the difference. As I've been telling some people recently, being a liberal is based on logic and facts. Being conservative is based on ideology. It's like religion.
Sure. If I can throw 2 things at you real quick.
Please.
Number one, CNN is no longer the CNN that you once knew. I don't know if you know this, but there's a new guy running CNN named Chris Licht, Lict.
Honestly, I'm hesitant. I regret that I said CNN because I've never thought that they were liberal news. They're news. But
they was supposed to be down the middle. But the problem is that there's a new guy that bought CNN, and he's a Trump mega donor. And then he puts Chris Licht in to run it. Chris Licht used to work for Joe Scarborough on MSNBC.
Okay.
And as we all know, Joe Scarborough was a former Republican congressman, and MSNBC puts him on in the morning because they think it's like, a yin and a yang between him and his now wife, Mika, who were in that sort of thing, right?
Sure.
But
so are you saying CNN has become conservative?
Absolutely.
Really?
Yes. As a matter of fact, go look it up and go look on your Twitter feed and type in CNN. People are boycotting CNN because they've been on CNN, Steve. Their hosts now were bitching that Joe Biden had Marines behind him at his at the speech he gave last week.
I use the CNN app for articles, but I haven't watched the network in quite a while.
No,
I never liked CNN just because of their production qualities, and it was nothing to do with their slant, quote unquote.
Well, but they've already started to get. They got rid of John Harwood. They got rid of Brian Stelter because these guys aren't towing the new company line.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
and then here's the other quick thing I'll throw at you. Is that there's a great article that was on Gawker.com. And if you look it up, type in Fox News Blueprint Gawker. And so we all know who Roger Ailes is. He's the person that founded Fox News. Yeah. Well, Roger Ailes was actually a media consultant in the Richard Nixon White House.
Yes.
And
he knew the influence that news had on the masses.
Right. Well, not just that, but they have his handwritten notes from notebooks, and it talks about how they.
No, I know about that. Yes.
So how they can program messages in people's heads in front of the TV.
He not only understood the power of the news media, but he understood the power of advertising, which is when you repeat a message over and over, it ingrains in people's brains. So he thought,
frequency.
What if you merge the two and you basically repeat propaganda over and over? And that is exactly what Fox News has become.
Yeah, and it's like not a new theory. I mean, it's been happening for a long time. This is just the first time that it has been on cable steroids. News and on steroids. And then we have a president who comes in that plays the perfect part for this style of programming, who programs in the exact same way.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about it though is Ailes came up with that in 71 before Nixon resigned. This idea of a conservative news network to get their message out. That's my age. That's 51 years ago.
Yeah, right.
No, for sure. Here's a quick funny story for you, gentlemen. One of the people I'm messaging with on one of the dating apps, I messaged her because she had some sentiment of like, can't we all disagree without hating each other? And it rang true with me with some fights I've had in the past with women. And so I messaged her like, preach on, like, yes, that's what I want. I didn't notice that she was a Trump-loving conservative. So she messages me back and said like, hey, I see you hate Trumpers according to your profile. So it's funny that you're messaging me. Like maybe we could have an intelligent debate to not hate each other. And I was like, okay, let's try this experiment out. And I told her on the vocal minority, we've been debating like, do we engage with conservatives, try to talk to them, try to figure out where they're coming from? Where's all this anger coming from? Or do we just fucking ignore them and vote them out of existence? I'm truly on the fence as to which is the right answer. But so this woman and I have been messaging back and forth for about a week now, and we should ignore them and vote them out. Fuck them all. Like, even under the premise that let's have a good, civil debate, it spirals so quickly. And on her end, by the way, like she's mocking me and LMAO. That's so preposterous. And what a silly thing to say. No, you can't.
Well, I will say on their behalf is that there's a lot of liberals who cannot have the conversation either without, throwing some sort of liberal shade in their direction. It's not going to work. I mean, it's not going to work. We're not programmed to have differences when those differences are based off morality.
Yes. It's like we were talking about with Julie. There was an era where you could agree to disagree on politics because it was about tax cuts or something. Now politics has become so omnipresent in every aspect of our lives that whichever team you're on speaks to your moral code, in my opinion.
Yeah.
If you don't have the same morals, how can you be dating? So
Rachel and I were talking about this. My wife, who's a veteran, by the way, I mean, we were driving around on Labor Day and I made a comment to her. I was like, is it odd that when I see an American flag, the first thing I think of now is
Trumpers,
Patriot?
Yes. I hate it.
I was like, I hate that they've stolen that from us because I'm proud of my country and everything like in that regard. But like every time I see an American flag now, I can't help but think probably a Trump lover.
Yes. And we got to stop that shit. We got to take the flag back. I'm not willing to concede this one to those morons. It's our fucking flag, not yours.
Right. Right.
I've got a cool piece of artwork in my house that you've seen, Nick. It's an old antique barn, and it's got an old antique motorcycle parked in front of it, and there's an American flag hanging from the barn. And it's cool. It's cool art. It's Americana. But I was worried if I hang it up in my house that some people may think I'm a Trumper because I'm waving a flag.
100%.
It sucks. I'm not willing to concede that.
Yes, I agree.
But the other thing too is that they've kidnapped the word patriot
100% and changed the definition.
Yeah. But here's the thing though. Again, I would always say, okay, are you a patriot or are you a loyalist? And if you know history, you know that when this country was in the Revolutionary War, there were patriots and there were loyalists. And are you loyal to the crown or are you a patriot fighting for the country? And now here's the other thing again. Are you a patriot fighting for the country or you're a loyalist to Trump? Which one are you?
100%.
You know what I mean? And it's red or blue.
Yes.
And, you know, and to me, either you're pro-America or you're pro-Trump. There's no in between.
Party over country is what's going on the right right now. Yes.
Now I keep telling Republicans, well, Trumpers, I should say, that I get into arguments with, that they should not be, because they'll say they're ultra MAGA, and I said you shouldn't be ultra MAGA or Trump Republicans. What you should be is an Eisenhower Republican.
Yeah,
and most of them don't even know what I'm talking about. And I'll tell them,
it's so far gone. Yeah.
I said, go look up President Eisenhower. Go look up what he supported. And remember that was one of the times in our country when we were doing the best economically and the country was fantastic. Now, granted, we didn't have civil rights and all that sort of thing. But the things that people talk about, the bread and butter table issues.
Yes.
You would agree with President Eisenhower with. And President Eisenhower would have nothing to do with Donald Trump. Not one word to do with Donald Trump at all.
It's what I was talking about, that there was a time in our country's politics where we could agree to disagree and the differences weren't that stark, or I accepted the premise that both sides are equally messed up. Sure. This woman I was messaging with believes that Trump was bad for this, but Biden's just as bad. And that is just not true.
Nope.
Every politician is, of course, out for their own interest and blah, blah, blah. But the Republicans have taken it and just run with it to the extreme of party over country. And where Biden called them out as being semi-fascist or whatever he said, and they're all like, how dare you? No, it's absolutely fucking true. You are not a patriot. You are not putting your country first. You're trying to fit the facts into your narrative. And it's never going to work.
Seeing Liz Cheney become a fucking pariah to the Republican Party is just another clue that you guys don't have any interest in being Republicans. I mean, that's the Republican ideology. It's about power, and it's about winning, and it's about we're right, you're wrong, go fuck yourself. It's just ugh, it kills me.
It's tribalism at the worst when you're turning on your own people in the tribe and putting them in the pot.
100%. I called my brother the day after the insurrection, or maybe it was the day of the insurrection. And I was like, holy shit. Like, did you see what happened? And he was like, what are you talking about? I was like, at our nation's capital, like, did you see what happened today? And he was like, oh, I heard a little bit about it. And like, he was so uninterested in it that I was just like, I had to hang up. I was like, all right, I'll talk to you tomorrow, brother. And I called him like a week later, and I was like, did you see what happened now? Like, have you investigated more and looked at more of what happened? And he was like,
at first Fox News wasn't covering it.
Right. So he was like, yeah, I mean, I have. He was like, it wasn't great, but I mean, what are you supposed to do if someone is actually stealing an election? Like, what do we do? And I was like, if you believe that the election was stolen, even if you believe that, not fucking that, You don't do that. Like, I mean, there's things channels we have to go through.
Of course. I am so sick of hearing that the election was stolen, the biggest fraud in history, but no one can find any proof at all.
No,
it happened right in front of our eyes, but no one.
My brother says constantly, greatest cover up ever. Greatest cover up ever.
Show me some evidence. No one is that well orchestrated in a cover up that the entire country was in on it and no one's squealing.
Steve, greatest cover up ever. It's the greatest cover up ever. What can I say?
Then why do Democrats not control every house in every state, every branch of government? Why didn't we just totally take over?
Right.
Please. We're so genius, but we stopped just shy of total domination. We gave ourselves a split house, or all of these states that still have Republican, like just
left ourselves with plenty of roadblocks to get over.
I've got we got a caller, Trump caller, calling in here to give his 2 cents. I think he wants to comment on what being a Trump supporter is.
I'm a stupid moron with an ugly face and a big butt, and my butt smells, and I like to kiss my own butt.
All right, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Oh, there's another caller on the line that has some great points to make of why Trump is great. Okay, you're on the air.
Got to be honest with you, because,
yeah, no, just hang up on this.
The irony is that guy is a Trump supporter. That is literally one of Donald Trump's employees. That was from The Apprentice years ago.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Should we run through a couple of news stories just to practice? I mean, I know we've been talking news there, but that's good politics. You got something?
I do, actually.
All right, go ahead.
Now, I'm going
Nick
to
and I will vote. Is this news you need? Okay. People out there, we're going to tell you if you should absorb this or not. So go ahead, Bruce.
New moms have known to do all sorts of things with their breast milk.
No, stop there. No,
I say keep going, Brewski.
Sometimes the headline alone gives it away. Go ahead. I don't mean to be so prejudiced. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's okay. That's all right.
I'm joking.
Please, Brewski, keep going. I'm interested.
Okay. New moms have been known to do all sorts of things with their breast milk. Some people feed it to their babies. Gasp. Some donate it to other babies in need. Breast milk can also be made into jewelry, and some people like to feed it to their husbands. But did you know that breast milk also has some great benefits for your baby's skin? Mom Brittany shared a TikTok video showing how she can make DIY breast milk soap at home. Quote, breast milk is known for being really good for the skin. It helps get rid of baby acne, end quote. Brittany says in the TikTok that it's been viewed 4.4 million times.
Wow.
I think it's worthy news, dude.
No, of course it's not. Where the hell are you getting this from? I'm talking about actual news.
Hey, I got this.
I don't need people paying attention to the latest uses for breast milk. I'm trying to get them to pay attention to politics here.
This is from the New York Post. That's from the New York Post. Yeah.
Is that really news though?
No.
It's news that I'd like to know about. I mean,
you do know that the New York Post is the newspaper in New York City that supports Donald Trump. That's the biggest Trumpers.
That's why I say they're not really news. So yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. No is my vote. Nick, is that newsworthy? Should people be absorbing that story and doing something with it in their lives?
I think the whole story is about absorption. So do with it what you will.
I need a vote. Come on, Simon Cowell. Give me a yes or no here.
All right. You're saying it has to be political news?
No, it doesn't have to be, but I'm trying to get people informed. So I'm trying to determine which news is actually usful to
I've always had an infatuation
with
breast milk, so I'm gonna vote yes on it. I always said if my wife was pregnant, I would definitely eat her breast milk. And if I could make my skin better with it, I probably would.
Now, I did work on a morning show for a short time here in Boston where they had a guy on the show that was a stunt guy that they called Brain Damage, and he was one of the host's brother. And they actually had a woman come in and pump breast milk and put it in a cup for him to drink live on the air.
No strangers, dude. I don't want any stranger. It's only my wife.
Getting some ready for you.
So we got yes, no.
Okay, so I guess that's a split vote. I think the audience can probably figure that one out for themselves. Trying to educate people here. All right, here's the headline on Huffington Post right now. You tell me if this is news you need to know. And I might be slightly biased for where I live, but one of the longest, hottest heat waves in California history continues to beleaguer the state, shattering temperature records and straining an already overwhelmed power grid. I believe we hit a high in Death Valley, which is obviously an extreme example, but it was 127. But even like Sacramento today was 117 degrees.
Woo!
Thanks a lot, Biden.
The forest fires this season, I actually will say, were less than last year. And
So
living
far.
here, I mean, I got evacuated last year for one of the fires that literally came through my town. This new house I'm living in, on the front porch, you can see the burn scar. And I'm not talking in the distance, like it's 100 yards away. I mean, so
Wow.
I get affected by this shit in California, but should people care that it's getting hot and that fires are, starting to get a little out of control, that there's an actual fire season?
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes, they should. Yeah, absolutely. They should care. It has to do with so much more that's going on, dude, that we need to be able to pay attention to and what's going on. And especially with your lovely state of California, where we see changes being proposed about fossil fuel cars and electric cars. Everything's going to be electric by a certain point in time. Supposedly, they've not made good on their word every time, but it sounds like.
Well, he set a date.
Yeah, he set a date, but they have not always met the dates that they've set with that kind of stuff. But I gotta say, when Gavin set the date, Jay Inslee in Washington said, we're going to follow suit with California.
Yes. And this is a point I was just about to make, that I am sick of the California bashing, because we are one of, if not the coolest, most progressive states. We have an economy that rivals every other country on the planet. Yeah. America without California's economy would be in a shithole. Yeah. And California has this unique power where we can set rules in California and the rest of you almost have to follow, because like for cars, for example, if we tell Ford, you don't get to sell cars in California unless they meet emission standards or electric, they can't lose all of California. So they're just going to change cars for all 50 states. Same with textbooks.
100%.
If you can't sell textbooks in California because you took out dinosaurs, your company's going to be screwed. So I kind of love that California can somewhat bully the rest of the states, because we have the power, and 9 times out of 10, we're right. Not everything about California. We're way overtaxed. We have a $97 billion surplus. That tells me you're taxing us all a little bit too much.
Yes.
Billion, yes. Not million, billion. So
yeah.
California's not right on everything, but it's a phenomenal state. And I, growing up in the Midwest, always thought that California was the place to be. And I don't care if I'm overtaxed. I'm proud to live in California. I'm proud to be surrounded by liberals and progressives and the tech industry and Hollywood and beautiful cities and mountains and all that kind of stuff. So
you're paying that price, dude, for the environment you want to be in and everything else. I say kudos. My brother always talks about that, not to keep bringing him up, but with Washington, the prices of homes and stuff like that in Seattle and the taxes here and, everything. He was like, why don't you just move out of there? I'm like, no, I don't want to. I like where I live as far as my environment. Right. Most people are liberal. Most people, the eastern side of the state's a little red, but I like where I'll pay a little extra.
Right. People didn't move to California because they're like, I want to pay high taxes. They're like, I want to live in a beautiful state that has beaches and mountains and all of these industries and jobs and farming and everything else. So yeah, I hear you.
Yep. Story worth knowing for sure. And that's you guys do have a water shortage coming. I mean, I think the Missouri River, I think is getting ready to shut off. I don't
know if that's the right river or not, but we're having water issues all over
Colorado.
The Colorado River is getting ready to shut off its water to you that they're giving to you.
Probably Southern California. Screw those guys.
So yeah, I mean, it's
but what happens here will happen everywhere is my point, whether it's climate change or automotive industry stuff. So you should all be paying attention because it's coming your way.
Well, to that point about the water shortage, have you gentlemen seen the story about the Saudi hay farm in Arizona that's using up a large portion of the water meant for Phoenix?
No.
For hay? What did you say it was for?
Yeah, it's for hay. There's a Saudi dairy company that actually is growing hay in Arizona, and they paid the state of Arizona $25 an acre and they get to use all the groundwater that they want to. Now, this was, and most of that groundwater is supposed to go to Phoenix.
Sure.
And the thing about it is you had Jan Brewer, who was the governor of Arizona, and now Doug Ducey, two Republicans, and neither one of them are admitting that they were the ones that allowed the Saudis to get such a sweetheart deal. And people in Arizona are
waking up.
Oh, they're mad.
Well, and listen, we have a similar issue in California where a lot of the bottled water that everyone has around the country.
Nestle.
If you read the fine print, it's bottled from a municipal source, which means it's tap water. And a lot of those sources are in California. So there's a whole, like, you're telling me we're entering a drought, but you're letting Nestle, bottle water. This is where, the free market versus government oversight has to step in. If you let the free market run wild, it is like a river. It will just flood communities. You need government to come in there and set up dams and levees and all that. So I think it's appropriate to look at Gavin Newsom or Brewer or whoever in Arizona and say, like, yeah, I get the free market and the Saudis are paying good money for it, but you got to look at the greater good too.
Actually, the Saudis are paying $25 an acre when technically what they should be paying is $125 an acre.
Oh, so whose kid do they have in a trunk somewhere? How are they getting that crap?
Well, I mean, talk to the land commissioner in Arizona who won't get back to the PBS affiliate or local news companies there. Her name is Kimberly Atkins, and she is not returning anybody's emails or phone calls. And she was the land commissioner when Jan Brewer was the governor, and also now that Doug Ducey is the governor, and she's not and she's like, they're putting up these little press releases saying, oh, we're working on it. We're working on it. Meanwhile, all this hay is getting grown. And then what happens is it gets sent to Saudi Arabia to feed their cows for them to have dairy milk.
Yeah, that's all messed up. So these are good examples. We've spanned from breast milk to water shortages and news you should know or not know. So I believe we're all on board for California's drought. Let me do one last article here. Again, I'm looking at the Huffington Post, which I like because they cover a wide variety. They cover politics and news, but they get into human interest and culture and all that stuff too. So here's an article. You tell me if this is something people need to be absorbing or not. The headline is Harry Styles did not spit on Chris Pine. As Don't Worry, Darling continues its beleaguered rollout. Second time I've used the word beleaguered in 2 articles. That's weird. Actor Chris Pine is attempting to put allegations of a saliva-filled altercation with co-star Harry Styles behind him. The two inadvertently sent social media into overdrive Monday. After attending the movie's premiere at the 2022 Venice Film Festival in Italy, video footage taken ahead of the screening appeared to show Styles spitting on Chris Pine before taking his seat inside the theater. Representatives have denied it.
And what is Chris Pine saying? He's saying he didn't do it?
Both camps are, I guess, denying the whole thing. So a representative for Pine dismissed the claim, said that it is a ridiculous story, a complete fabrication, and the result of an odd online illusion that is clearly deceiving and allows for foolish speculation. Is this newsworthy, gentlemen? It's on a major news site.
It's not newsworthy, dude. It's not for me. I would filter that one out.
Thank you.
Did he spit in one direction or 2 directions?
A little boy band humor, everyone.
And listen,
I point that story out to show you that not everything on your news site is in fact newsworthy. So the vocal minority is here to discern for you,
to guide you in the right direction.
We're like a baby bird mommy. We chew the food and spit it into your mouth. That's what we're doing with the news.
Only giving you the nutrients. Exactly. Let me ask you this question, all right? Before we go.
Yes.
I've been seeing this fad on TikTok a lot. And this is, you don't watch TikTok unless your son sends it to you. Is that the
pretty
truth?
much? Yeah. I know I need to get on there for us now, but no, unless my son or you, oddly, are the 2 people that send me TikTok videos.
Do you watch TikTok at all, Brewski?
Not at all.
You don't? That surprises me. You refuse to? Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I just hear all the stories about all the data that particular app steals from you, and who actually runs that app, and
fair enough.
You know that, and so I'm just a little leery of it. You know.
All right, okay. TikTok is loaded with
By the way, everyone has your data and goes everywhere in the world, but that's okay.
Yes, that's right. That's my sister and her husband.
President Xi gets my data every day.
Oh, he's reading your tweets constantly. Don't worry about it.
I'm sure, dude. He's getting everyone's got access to what they need. Yeah,
and not just because he's a fan of the show.
Would not let me get her Alexa. She was like, "I'm not going to do that. I don't want someone knowing all about me all the time." I'm like,
they listen to you.
Your cell phone is right there all the time on you. Like,
listen, gentlemen, one of the topics I got lined up here is to what extent does your phone really spy on you? We know it does, but I want to know the real extent. Is Siri listening to us right now? I don't know. Everyone says they are, and obviously if I say, hey, Siri, she's listening, but I want to know the real answer, so we're going to get to that on a future show.
Amazon did admit that they do it.
They did. There's a class action lawsuit, but
they're harvesting that data and keeping the. But is someone sitting there listening to your conversations?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
I got to know. I got to talk to an expert on that.
I don't have anything.
And I want that job at Amazon, by the way. That'd be fun.
Oh no, you don't.
Yeah, no, I mean, you would be going through a lot of boring shit.
Well, I worked at Verizon for a little while. That was one of the sites where I worked for my
This is good.
And I had to pass this room where they had to filter the videos that they allowed on the thing. And let's just say that there's a warning before you enter that door into that room that there was going to be possibly nudity, violence, blood, everything like
domestic violence, all that shit. Yeah.
And on top of that, they actually had counselors that at the end of the week, when you worked in that job and you filtered those videos, you had to go in for a counseling session for 2 hours every. Yeah. Okay. Now, if you have to go to a counseling session after work for every single week, that's not a job that's really worth it. I don't think.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Unless you're a true voyeur, then it's your ultimate job, I guess. But
I guess. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So here's my deal, dude. On TikTok, there are all these different people that have been made TikTok famous from going to homeless people and walking up to them and recording them and being like, hey, man, what's your name? Oh, I'm Arnie. Like, hey, is there anything I can get for you today that'd make your day a little better? Or, hey, I got $500 to bless you with, or whatever. It's like helping homeless people in bad situations. Okay. My question is, I've always questioned the thought of, well, you're recording all of this and it doesn't seem like that's very genuine, right? Like, shouldn't you be doing something good? When I was a Catholic growing up in church, like, you don't talk about the fact that you pray, like, you do it silently because you're doing it for the right reason, right? So
they're spending that $500 on the homeless guy so they can rack up views on TikTok and make, hundreds of thousands in endorsements and clickbaits and all that stuff.
100%. And you know what? I mean, they're winning because I usually watch them.
Yeah.
So, but my question is, are they doing more good than harm?
Doing more good than harm. Well, I mean, they're doing good for that one individual that they're ultimately exploiting, which he or she will probably be unaware of. So I guess that person benefits from it.
But not the homeless population as a whole.
No, unless they're inspiring other people to go do that. And I can't imagine in masses that they are.
When's the last time either of you has, walked up to a homeless person and just said, hey, here's $20. I want your day to be better.
Yeah, no, never. My theory, homeless people are jerks. Otherwise, they'd have a friend's house to go stay at.
Well,
I got to test that theory myself a few months ago.
That was my question.
Or a few weeks ago.
At the end of all of this, the head of my article says, let's rejoin the harness theory that all homeless people are assholes and wonder, do you feel any different about that?
Yeah, I do have a theory that homeless people must be jerks because when they are first homeless, why do they not have a friend that will take them in? You crouch on my couch for a month while you go get a job or get counseling or whatever. Now, obviously, some people are mental health and drug. I get it, but there is some truth to that. And literally a month ago, I was homeless and, people reached out and were there to help me. So I stand by my theory for the most part. But to answer your question as to whether that bit is doing more harm than good, well, that's a tough one. Like I said, if they're inspiring people, but I don't see an epidemic of that going on. And that one person benefited, the homeless person, from getting that cash. But no, ultimately, these are, people glorifying somebody's hurt and misery so they can become TikTok famous.
Yes.
So I would imagine it's doing more harm than good. I've been talking to my son about this with us going online and trying to start this podcast up, that we're going to be sincere about it. If I piss somebody off by saying homeless people are jerks, well, that's a, sincere philosophy I have. So I'll defend it. But I'm not just going to go on here and be a Sean Hannity and just be shocking for sake of shocking, because that's not genuine. And then I'm just being a douchebag exploiting people that buy into it.
Right.
And that's
100%.
Definitely doing more harm than good.
Yeah. No, we've seen that, especially over the last, 5 years, 6 years. So
yeah. Having said that, find the vocal minority on TikTok, because we're gonna have a great new channel on there.
we're not going to exploit anyone,
just ourselves,
Yeah.
So that's fair.
Exactly.
So, all right. Everyone have their deep thoughts and questions answered.
Yeah. Anything else, Brewski? You got anything else going on? Hey, well, just by the way, you said during that whole dating segment that you're not online dating right now.
No, I am.
All right. What was the last date and how did it go?
I haven't been on a date in a long time. I mean, I've chatted with ladies.
Are you just fishing out there, hoping for something
No.
that looks good, or what?
No,
This hasn't been working out.
Yeah, I've been. The problem is that sometimes people flake out on you. They leave. And maybe I'm just not moving fast enough for some people, for some ladies. I did have one lady who wanted to meet me, but she was all into that polyamory bullshit and her.
I looked up that sapiosexual crap. You're attracted to intelligence.
Oh, that's bullshit.
So you're telling me if Brad Pitt was a flaming moron, you wouldn't want to go on a date with him, or vice versa? If some just short, fat, sweaty guy was super smart, you'd be banging him, huh?
Well, that and demisexual. When they say the demisexual,
you
know what that is? That means that they have.
They're into Demi Moore, is what that means.
Yeah, exactly.
Exclusively, like Bruce Willis.
But what they mean is that they have to develop a really strong bond with you before that they enter any intimacy with you. And it's just say that you don't want to give it up anytime soon.
You want to get to know someone before you give it up.
Oh, no.
Demisexual, then
no. Demisexual basically means like 10 plus dates. We really got to get to know each other, soup to nuts and everything. I've talked to demisexual women, or what they call themselves, demisexual, and it honestly is like you might get a kiss, but it's like a little kiss on the lips peck. That's it.
Yeah.
What is that? Is that extreme to you? I think I probably went on Rachel with 10 dates before I had sex with her.
Okay.
I was just going to say, on some level, that's just some people. That's just normal dating. You want to get to know them and take it slowly. But I guess it has a name now.
But no, but demisexual it gets really, really deep, where they will tell you how they have to be emotionally connected to you.
Yeah, but that's fair. I want to be emotionally connected too.
Yeah. No,
listen, I should not have to Google what you are before I reply to you. When you put it, your whatever sapiosexual thing, let me go Google that and find out.
What's it called, Brewski? Spell it for me, because I'm an idiot.
DEMI sexual.
Give us the Google definition from the Urban Dictionary or something. I don't know.
All right, here we go. It's opening now. No, I don't want to sign in the group.
All right, I've got one for you. Ready? It says a person who is a demisexual experiences sexual attraction only when they feel a true emotional bond with another person. For instance, they may not feel sexually attracted to a person they randomly see at a coffee shop. But if they start talking to that person and form an emotional connection, they might become sexually attracted over time.
Isn't that what we were talking about earlier? That somebody 100%. May not be your type, but then you start talking to them and you realize, hey, man, there is a connection here.
I don't think here's the thing, dude. I
guess you can call it whatever.
You can't be I don't think you can be demisexual exclusively, because there's obviously people that you might be able to get to know and find an attraction through them, but there's also people that you just look at and you're like, holy shit. That excites
to me. That is what it is. I have always said that attraction has to be the first step. How could it be anything else? You're just going to go talk to some stranger you're not attracted to and pick their brain and then hope you're going to find something about them you like.
That's what demisexual basically is that for them, they can't feel any visceral sexual attraction to you until they get to know you and form that emotional bond.
I don't buy it as a real thing, dude.
I don't exactly. If I hold up a picture of Brad Pitt and Eugene Levy, you're telling me you can't tell me which one is more attractive,
right? Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not making you defend the Demi Moore sexuals of the world, but I'm just saying, like, I don't buy it.
Yeah, and I don't buy the polyamory bullshit because I don't think that you can love more than one person the same way. I think that there's always going to be, but they even say that they have their primary and they have secondary partners. Okay,
we call that a cult, dude. That's what we used to call that.
But if I'm your secondary partner, that means that you love this other person more than you love me. Right. So you can't say it's all equal. Just call yourself a swinger and be done with it.
Yes,
but they don't like that. They don't like that. So this chick wanted me to have a Zoom date with a Zoom meeting with this guy that that was her primary, who lives in Florida.
Really?
Well, first of all, she says to me, "Well, because my car was in the shop at the time. Both my cars were inoperable, and so she was like, "Do I have to come to Malden to pick you up if we're going to see each other?" And I'm like, "No, I'm just waiting for my car to get back." And that's one of my cars was going in the body shop. The other one, I hit a pothole and I did some damage to it and that sort of thing, right? And so she's all hot and horny to like get together and meet me, like not sex wise, just meet me. And then all of a sudden, I agreed that we're going to meet on a certain day. And then she says, "Oh, by the way, what I'm going to need for you to do is I need for you to have, a Zoom meeting with my sweetie in Florida, and then maybe I can see you some other time." And then she's like, "TTYL." I'm like, "Well, what? Oh, I did." And I just said, I just said, "Hey, look, you know what? Had a great conversation with you. It's been a lot of fun, but
I agree with you. These
are more than I would have.
These are fancy ways of saying either I'm a swinger or I'm a prude or I just want to get to know you before I bang you. Like, everyone has overly compartmentalized everything they are. But this is the fun world we're living in, Nick.
Yeah,
you get to live vicariously through us now.
Yeah, it's quite something, dude. I'm here for it.
What when I was in New York City one time with Jen, we were on the bus. Speaking of living vicariously through someone. And we heard this girl on her cell phone sitting in front of us talking about her sister and how her sister was doing all these great things and was going out to the Hamptons. And she said this, she's like, "I don't get to do all that stuff, so I have to live vicariously through her."
Vicariously?
Yes, she meant vicariously, but she said vicariously.
That'd be more fun, probably.
And Jen and I are sitting behind her, trying not to laugh. We got off the next stop and we got off the bus and we just lost it, dying laughing.
That's funny. Yeah.
And it's all good commentary on the human race. So there you go.
Another fine moment brought to you by the vocal minority.
Indeed.
Yes, indeed.
All right, audience. We still have not lost the gift of gab. We're over 3 hours, so we should probably wrap this episode up. Find us on social media. I assume we're all over it by the time you hear this.
Yeah.
So, and check out our website. That will be there by the time you hear this.
We already have a name picked out.
Do we? I don't know if we settled on anything.
I just want.
We have like 2 domains right now. What's our website?
I bought one too.
Domain. So what are we?
What'd you buy? What'd you buy? You tell me first.
I bought the vocalminority.net because our old .com, some asshole sat on and is trying to charge us $20,000 to buy it back from them, which we're not doing. So keep holding on to that. So the vocalminority.net, or what was yours? vocalminoritypodcast.com, was that?
No, the vocalminorityshow.com.
See, that's a good one too. Here's the thing. We'll probably just keep them both and send them to the same website. So the vocalminority.net, the vocalminorityshow.com. Google it, find us, share us, listen to us. Otherwise, we're just talking to ourselves, and that makes us insane. So
yes,
a little bit.
All right, gentlemen,
ladies and gents.
Yeah, we need like some sort of show close or something. Some sort of song. I don't know.
Yeah, vocal minority.
Okay, that could work, I guess. Yeah. All right. Walk us on out.